right, welcome back to the IMNerd podcast. I'm your host, Frayway. I'm here with my amazing co-host, Kenny.
Yo, yo.
And we also have the Edison Club one, aka Mike and Justin, Michael Boyd. And Justin, is your last name Morgan?
It is, yep.
Yep, Justin Morgan. So these guys are the founding members of the Edison Club. It has since expanded. They have a YouTube channel. So before we get into anything, subscribe to their YouTube channel if you haven't already. I like both of these guys. I've interacted with them for the last couple of years playing Edison. They were in it before I was. They had a YouTube before I did. And so it's been a pleasure.
And they were always nice.
Always nice.
They were always nice.
Never gatekeepers. They never felt like the people who... There are some people in this community that I could tell that they did not want me in the community, and they just felt like, you know, I was an invader or something, and I never felt that way from you guys. So I appreciate your warm energy and inviting me in, and then I try to be the same way with people who are coming into the community. I encourage people, if they want to start a channel, like Enraged Peacock, when he wanted to, I encourage people to do that. So yeah, you guys are like really awesome. And why don't you introduce yourselves one by one? So we'll start with Justin. You can go first.
Yeah, so my name's Justin Morgan. Really good friends with Mike here. Been playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Since really the inception of the TCG. And sort of competitive. Yes, yeah. So and then really started, I don't want to say like hardcore competitive, but I started going to like regionals and things like that in 2011. Right when Extreme Victory came out. So
that's the tour guide pack?
Yeah, the tour guide pack. Yeah, so right in Tango format. Like, I remember my first regional event, like Egg Sabers were the thing. I remember 6 Sam was still floating around. So that's when I really started playing like competitive. Pretty much it. I got 2 kids. I've been with my wife for 11 years now. So
congrats.
Yeah, thank you. So
you, Mike?
So my name is Michael Boyd. A lot of you know me as Edison Club Mike. I started playing in like 2005. It was like Playground Yu-Gi-Oh! Slam Down Blue Eyes, no tributes, you know, kind of thing. And did that for a long time. I started playing, I guess, competitively in Dragon Ruler format. Unfortunately, it wasn't the best time to be a competitive player, like just getting into competitive play.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so I did that for a while. I got out of the game in 2017. I came back during the pandemic, which I feel like a lot of people did, and started playing again. So I played on and off my whole life, basically. Much like Justin, I've been married a little over a year now, and expecting my first child in April.
Congrats on that as well.
Thank you. We're really excited.
So I wanted to ask you guys, like, how did you come up with the Edison Club as a brand? Where did that start? Because I see you guys both played Yu-Gi-Oh!, especially Justin, for a long time. He said since the inception of the TCG, which is when I started in Pharaoh Servant. So basically the very beginning.
As an extension to that question, how long were you guys friends? Did you guys meet through Yu-Gi-Oh? Did you meet somewhere else? How did you guys become friends and then make the Edison Club together?
But wait, do you want to tell it or you want me to tell it?
Okay, all right. So I'll start off. So we met on Grindr. Actually, no.
Frazier met.
Oh, shit.
We were on Grindr. He was like, yo, I'm at this place called Red Cap. Come see my Red Cap. And I was like, I'm there, baby.
I literally thought you were serious for like 2 seconds. There were 2 seconds where I thought that was real.
No.
I've rehearsed that so many times because every time somebody asks, where'd you guys meet? I always start off with that. And I just kind of wait and get their reaction.
Caught me off
In his bio, he's like, I'm looking for a guy with a big deck. I'm like, great, I play 60 cards. Like,
Oh, man.
Yeah, no protection.
Hell yeah.
Okay. So I got back into Yu-Gi-Oh! In 2020 because Thunder Dragons were like a real deck. And I was like, man, this is so cool. I want to play this deck. So start playing it, and eventually I want to learn the combos. So I make a post in the Thunder Dragon group on Facebook, and someone messages me with a Battery Man Solar combo, and it was Justin. And I remember it clear as day. He was like doing the combo on his washing machine. And I was like, we kind of like made small talk. I was like, thanks, man. I really appreciate that. And then he was like, yeah, no problem. By the way, do you know Ty Pain? And I was like, that's kind of like, I don't even know who this person is. Like, should I say yes or should I say no? Or I was like, yeah. And it turns out Justin lives like a couple hours from me. And he had known Ty from like way back in the day. So eventually we started going to locals together, and I was playing Thunder Dragons. Justin's playing Dark Magician, and Dark Magician was a deck that could just naturally make like multiple Red Eyes Dark Dragoons on the first turn. And I'm sure you guys all know what that card does. Yeah. It's like an anime card. And basically I was so inspired by that. I was like, I want to play Dark Magician. That deck is so cool. I've always been a Yugi guy. So I start playing that deck, and a lot of people don't know that my channel was originally called Dark Magical Gaming. That was what it started as. Yep. and I did Dark Magician content.
It's not
and,
a bad channel name, by the way. Like it's like a pretty good
it was
channel
cool.
name.
Yeah, it was cool. I got a pretty good following.
Name.
Yeah. A card shop would go hard. Dark Magical Gaming, like that would go hard as shit.
Dark Magical Gaming got me up to the point of being monetized. So I got to 1,000 subscribers just off of Dark Magician content. And then in 2021, like the end of 2021, Modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Just became way too much for me. I was not enjoying it anymore whatsoever. So I don't remember. I think we heard about Edison format from your podcast. I'm pretty sure.
Yep. We started in 2021. So I see here your logo in the back, established 2021. The IMNerd podcast formed July 15th, 2021.
Okay.
And we've been doing it ever since. So it's kind of crazy. This will be the 4th year once we get to July 15th again. But yeah, we had Keegan on early on in like the first 50 or so episodes, I want to say. We also had a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh guests, but we did cover some like Edison and things like that. We talked about, we had Dale Bolito and stuff. So
yeah, before we were like all the way in it, we covered it a couple times because Frazier told the story at least half a dozen times where just like one random weekend, Hydro Pump was like, hey, there's this random tournament. Can I post it? And he was like, yeah, sure. And then Frazier spent the whole fucking weekend watching. I think it was the first ribbit or the second ribbit.
Yeah, one of the first 2 ribbits. It was one of the first 2. I think it was the first one, and I was just so captivated by it, having quit Yu-Gi-Oh for several years at that time. Thought I would never play the game again. I even said that so many times when people ask, and I was doing good. I was 5 years into my retirement. I was like, yeah, if I'm already 5 years out, you know, I'm a complete not addicted to the game anymore. Like I've been in rehab. You know, I've recovered. I got my little medal thing that shows like you are clean. You've been 5 years clean. I thought I was doing good. And then I just relapsed the fucking hardest from one stream. And the rest is history. And now we're here. So, and I'm happy. I'm happy to have been brought back into the game, but I did take a nice hiatus. So 2021 seems like both of our brands were kind of like established and beginning. And then when did it become like the Edison Club?
So I'm sorry. Go ahead, Justin.
I was sitting. Yeah. So I don't remember where I heard it from, but I heard that like March 2010 Edison format was like picking up steam like on Dueling Book and stuff. And I remember that I was on TCG Player, and I'm like, well, I wonder, you know, how much a deck would be. And I was seeing that like Black Wings and Lightsworns were like at the time those were like the popular decks, right? Like fan favorites. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna pick up a Black Wing and a Lightsworn deck. And I think I picked up both decks for like less than $200. It was dirt cheap because I mean, you know, that was like high rarity too. That was before everything shot up.
Yep.
And we were at YCS Charlotte in 2022, the first YCS after COVID. And Boyd and I were just playing Edison on the tables, just Black Wings versus Lightsworn. And people were stopping by the tables, and they were like, eventually we got a small crowd just watching us play Edison format. And I don't know for Boyd, but I think that was the moment that like in my brain, it like a switch flipped that like, I really want to focus on this format now. I think it's going to pick up steam. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so cool because it did start as just like a random little thing you do on a side table for fun. Like it wasn't Edison format was not what it is right now. You know what I mean? Like it was just kind of starting and people were just kind of doing a little bit, but it's grown a fucking lot.
Yeah, Konami wasn't supporting it back then either.
Yeah, and then Boyd bought Lightsworn from me. So I had Blackwing and he had Lightsworn. And then that's where his brain came from. So
yeah, and we
Lightsworn, ever since.
I was at an event and I saw a guy that had on a shirt. It said Ghostbusters Club, and it was in the style of the Hellfire Club shirts from Stranger Things. And I was like, it was like a light bulb in my head. I was like, bro, Edison Club. And that sounds like so good. Like me and Justin, we just like clicked with that. And I was like, I'm going to get my artist on this right now. And we came up with the design, and it really kind of just took off from like the minute we started making Edison content. It was just like, I completely rebranded my channel, got rid of the Dark Magician stuff, made a video like, goodbye, you know, I'm done with this, sorry. And just jumped like headfirst into Edison format from that.
So now you know what you have to do, though. You have to like use every brain cell that you have to make a Dark Magician deck in Edison. You gotta.
I tried. Unfortunately, the best way to play that is to play the Dark Eradicator like FTK thing.
Yeah.
The meme.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I tried. I had a lot of requests for that too. I was like, well, you can do like Prisma, you know, send and then like Dark Magic Attack, but it doesn't really go anywhere from that. That's like you have to hope they scoop from that. That's the win condition.
That's funny.
So yeah, you guys started doing. Oh, go ahead, Justin.
Oh no, it was just the Dark Magician thing. I was playing online on Ladder a couple nights ago, and someone had like the Dark Magic Curtain, and they were like using it with like Eradicator epidemic virus.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty cheesy, but
Yeah, we were just playing ranked an hour ago for a video, and it was a rant. But you know,
oh god, it was an hour long. It was one set. It was an hour long, and it was you guys are going to see that really soon on Master and Disaster. But well, I guess if you're listening to this podcast, you probably, unless you're on Patreon, if you're listening to this on a Thursday when it comes out on YouTube and Spotify and Apple Podcasts, then that has already been posted. But if you are listening to this on Patreon early, that whole duel is a fucking absolute rant of rants. So
yeah, I can't wait to watch it.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? So you guys, where are you? I know you're both from the South, but like, what part of the South are you guys from?
So I live in Virginia. I'm sorry.
Yep. No, you're okay. Go ahead.
I live in Southwest Virginia, near Virginia Tech, about 30 minutes away from there. I always say Virginia Tech because everybody's like, nobody knows where Pulaski, Virginia is, but they know Virginia Tech. So.
Yeah, and the only reason I know Virginia Tech is because of the
they
incident.
only know it. Yeah, they know it for the same reason people know the Twin Towers.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, it's
true.
And Mike,
yeah, I'm from Mount Airy, North Carolina, which is a small town. If anybody's ever heard of the Andy Griffith Show, that's the only thing that my town is known for, because that's where Andy Griffith was from. Now I live in King, North Carolina, which is like 15 minutes from there. So just very small towns in North Carolina.
And how far are you guys from each other?
About an hour and a half. Yeah.
Oh, that's not too bad.
And it's crazy too because I don't know if you guys ever heard of Star City Games.
I have. Star City was huge in Magic the Gathering.
So when I first started playing Yu-Gi-Oh in 2011, like they used to have regionals and stuff like that. And then like they just abandoned Yu-Gi-Oh like in the mid 2010s, and now they focus solely on Magic and stuff. So there for a while, the closest locals that I was aware of at the time was an hour and a half away in Mount Airy. And so if I wanted to play any kind of Yu-Gi-Oh, I would have to go there every Saturday and play. So locals was quite a drive for me. But now we have a locals in Roanoke. I don't know if you guys ever heard of Roanoke.
Yeah, I have.
I've heard of it. Yeah.
It's only an hour away from me, and they sort of took the Yu-Gi-Oh community from Star City Games. So we got a pretty big locals over there. They just started playing Edison recently. So like everybody like calls me the Edison god there, but it's like only because I'm the only one that's been playing for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like,
you just know everything.
Listen, guys, I'm absolute I'm shit. Like, you know, but I'll take the praise while I'm here and everything. But
take it while you can get it.
Yeah, and Boyd, like I think your closest locals is like that's actual like worth going to is over an hour away from you now, right?
Yeah, it's like an hour and 10 minutes, I think, to Picante TCG from me.
So wait, is it like an hour in different directions? Like, is there a reason why?
Yeah,
it's like you guys can't meet at that local. That's like one. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So Greensboro is like it used to be a really good like Edison community because you'd have Easy Gaming and Picante both doing like Switch events, PlayStation events and stuff. So if I wanted to play Edison, I would have to drive 2.5 hours to go play an Edison event. And me and Boyd did that. We grinded for a long time. Like a lot of times I would drive to his house, carpool with him or whatever. But after you start playing for Switches once or twice a month, like you just get burnt out on it, and it's the same people.
Yeah.
And that's when we saw a PlayStation 5 event. Right when Edison first started kicking off. And that's where we first met you, Frazier, up in, I think it was Jersey or Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Oh, shit. You guys came to that.
It was crazy, too, because, like, that was a PS5 event, and now you see PS5 events everywhere that, like, I will never drive to.
Yeah.
But that was the first big event.
That was like,
Yeah, we're like,
it was 100 people, too.
Yeah, we're driving 7 hours to go there.
We treated that like a YCS, honestly.
Dude,
and back then, that's all we had. Okay, so you guys are talking about really early days. We didn't have Ultimate Time Wizard. You know, RBETs were happening and stuff.
Oh, PS5 is a crazy good prize, right?
Especially
like a PS5 is still like $600. Like,
yeah, this is like 3 years ago, by the way. So this that they're talking about is a long time ago. I think it was the beginning of 2023. So it's been 2023, 2024, and now we're in 2025. So this will be going on to like the third year, technically.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's been a while.
And no shit, dude. Like me and Boyd have been playing Edison exclusively, like in our group for a while at that point. And I at least in my mind, I'm like, dude, we're going to go up here and we're going to play against people that are just now picking up Edison decks, and we're going to fucking kill it and take on the PS5. And then we
did
get there
not
and
happen.
fucking Frazier Smith is there, fucking Steve Silverman's fucking
Sean
there,
McCabe.
Sean McCabe's there.
Yeah.
Like, what the actual fuck is this? Like, we end up scrubbing out, and I end up playing a side event and winning a box or a deck box or something there. But that was like that was what I took home from driving 7 or 8 hours. But like,
listen, you think a PS5 only woke you up? Like a PS5 woke all the dragons up. They're like, hold on, wait a second.
That
Like,
was
wait a
crazy. We
second.
all traveled for just that. That's how much we wanted to play Edison, because I always say the pricing is not really ever been that great for Yu-Gi-Oh! And it's not the main reason why people play the game, of course. It is nice when you have good pricing, though. Like, obviously, the better the pricing, the more incentive you have to go to an event, like the 5K that Big Boy Gaming held a couple years ago now, I think it's been. But that one was really awesome. They had a $5,000 tournament at the end of like 2023, because it definitely wasn't 2024 that just passed, so it had to be now. 2023 was very eventful. Ultimate Times just started in the middle of the year, but yeah, pricing like for Yu-Gi-Oh has gotten a lot better for Edison, for our community. It wasn't always so, and that's why we were going crazy over PS5s. And like Kenny said, a PS5 is actually, like, if you think about just the monetary value of it, is pretty expensive. And 3 years ago or 2 years ago, whatever, the PS5 was even more like.
Yeah, because they were still hard to get, I think, at that time.
They were. This is during the pandemic, when they were like, the end of the pandemic, but still technically we were still at the dregs of it. And yeah, PS5s were still hard to get in 2023 for sure.
Yeah.
But I forgot that you guys came to that. Damn, that event was 2 years ago.
Yeah. So we get there.
It was crazy. It was crazy. We felt so good because we had just played so much going into that event, and I got absolutely washed, dude. I think I lost all 5 rounds I played.
Oh my god!
And I was like, after that event, I was like, it is either time to be done because like this isn't working, or it's time to like actually start getting good at this.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a pivotal moment. That's a pivotal moment.
When you're shit at the game, just judge. Like,
judge.
I joke. I'm not horrible. I'm a lot like Boyd. I took intermittent breaks between when I first started playing Yu-Gi-Oh competitively and to now, because I had kids in like 2016, so I didn't, I stopped playing. I think I went to a handful of regionals between 2011 and like 2021 when COVID ended. That's when I was like, I took everything for granted that we had before. I was like, I talked to my wife. She's like, when events pick back up, I want you to go to as many as possible.
Oh, wow.
Because you never know.
That's awesome.
And yeah, she's very supportive. She's a stay-at-home mom, so we have that really good relationship to where, like, you stay home with the kids or whatever. And we just have a very good team dynamic, which I love. But she's like, I want to go to as many events as possible, And so that's when I started really grinding. And I think, gosh, I've been to like probably 10 YCS since COVID ended.
That's good.
And yeah, I actually got my invite back in August to Nationals, so I've been playing a little bit of advanced format.
Yeah. What do you like to play in that?
Yeah, I want to do well there.
What do you like to play in advanced?
What do I like to play?
Yeah, like what deck? Are you playing right now? Like currently, do you play Modern?
Yeah, I do. So when I got my invite, I got it with Heroes.
Oh shit!
Just because I love. You should see, I got like my little man cave. I got like giant card posters. I got like all kinds of shit from GX and stuff. But
it's really sick.
Yeah, it's my favorite. I got like autographed cards and stuff, like max rarity Heroes. But Heroes is shit in advanced format right now. Like,
yeah, that's why I'm surprised.
It's not great. Yeah, so I picked up Blue Eyes. I've been doing really good. Went 4-0 yesterday. Got like a little box and stuff. So nothing too crazy. But I did want to lock my invite in. I'm going to focus on that for a little bit because the way I look at it, like Edison's always going to be there.
Exactly.
For me, I don't think the format's going. Gig is a thing now and everything, and Forgs. But like, I just really want to focus. I want to do well at a big event. I almost made day 2 of YCS. Was it Raleigh, Boyd?
Yep. Yeah, it was Raleigh.
Yeah, I was. I lost out in time in round 9. Didn't make day 2, so that was sort of a bummer. But I just like at this point, like I just don't have enough time to really travel like to every YCS. Like I can't do like a Jesse Cotton, and like go to every event.
Yeah.
I can't go to South America. I can go to Europe, and I don't want to sit here and pretend that I can.
It's hard. But I'm taking a backseat this year.
I do want to say though, I think Edison has made me a better player. Because when Edison first started, I was dog shit. I thought I was like really good because we've been playing the format for a while, but. And it's crazy too, and I bring this up every time I see you, but I'm gonna bring it up again.
Oh God!
We were outside the parking lot of a Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yep.
Oh, this is legendary.
This was the Jersey event, right, Boyd?
I thought
this was the 2K.
Yep.
The 2K.
Yeah,
okay.
The 2K.
In North Carolina, yeah.
Yeah. I was playing Swedish Black Wings, and I just fucking scrubbed out, and we were in the parking lot, Buffalo Wild Wings, and Frazier was like, you were like, it's not the deck, it's you. And so like, I've been like, that has stuck with me because like I take criticism pretty well.
You
I'm
do,
like, you know what?
because other people might have punched me in the face.
Yeah, he's right. And well, I remember the 5K. I think you had like already dropped out or something.
Yeah.
I'm like, Frazier, it's not the deck, it's you. Like I was like, I've been waiting just to say this.
Yeah.
I love that.
But like a lot of people give like, and this is what I hate too. You get advanced players that come into Edison format and they're like, well, this format's so easy, or blah blah blah, or the other way around kind of thing.
Yep.
And I do want to say that ever since playing Edison, it has made me a better advanced players because there are some things from Edison, and you've touched upon this too, that like I think you can carry over into advanced format.
Yep.
And that's exactly what I did. And I feel like I took what I learned from Edison and carried it to advanced, and I think that's why I got my invite. I think it's why I'm doing better playing. Because I think that half the game is reading your opponent. And I got a lot of that playing Edison format.
Yeah, Edison, a big part of it is the information game. Is they set background, they set monsters, and you have to say to yourself, I know what it could possibly be. What does it make sense for it to be? And then how do I play around it with the 6 cards that I drew in my opening hand or whatnot? And that skill, you hone it every time you play an Edison match. You keep on having to go into Rykos and hamsters and shit, bottomlesses and deep prisons. Eventually you start to get used to it and you're like, I know how to read these cards and I can play around them out. You'll say like, that is a bottomless. I'm going to do the play that plays around that. You have to choose what it's going to be and you play around it. And I think in Modern, that skill can translate where you go, look at my hand. I know that there's a bunch of hand traps. There's actually too many to count now in Modern. Like there's too many hand traps now. So you just have to say, with this hand, I'm only going to choose to play around this. And if he has this other one, I accept that, like, you got me. Because you can't play around everything. You can't be like Nib and Ash and Droll and the new Maxis and fucking, like, it's too many. In Perm, like, I can just go on and on and on and on, right? There's a hand trap for literally every situation in Modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Over 10 of them. And people actually play, like, so many different ones. So you just say, okay, I'm going to choose to play around this with this hand. Because if he doesn't have it, I kind of win. Or at least I put myself in a position to win. And I don't even play Modern, but I just kind of understand that part of Yu-Gi-Oh! And that kind of comes from Edison.
And a lot of advanced now, in my opinion, and I feel like I can comfortably say this because I play both, is that a lot of advanced format games depends on, like, let me look at your hand, you look at mine, we'll just compare hands, and, you know, you can just tell who wins at that point. Yeah. Like, I guess for reference, yesterday I played 18 hand traps in my main deck.
Oh my god,
which is absurd.
That's crazy.
And yeah, but it's 2 different games, and I think that's something we can agree on.
Yeah, I say it all the time. I say it all the time on this channel that, like, the Modern format and Edison format are literally 2 different games, and there's nothing wrong with the fact that they're 2 different games, but you just have to acknowledge it. When people are like, oh, just play this instead, I'm like, well, no, because you're literally asking me to play a different game. Like, someone asked me to play Goats, I would say the same thing. It's not like I just hate Modern.
Yeah.
Like, Goats is so different from Edison that you're asking me to fundamentally play a different game. And for people who want to play Goats, please enjoy it, have fun with it, have a blast, flip your spies, some of your BLSs, flip your ring of destructions, you play your Trinity. That's great. I'm sure you guys like your Chaos Turbo Mirror matches and all that. In Edison, we have our own shit going on right now with, like you said, Gigavice and Forgs and all the other decks that are broken. So, like, I don't want to play Modern. I don't want to play Goats. I don't want to play Tengu or Hat or whatever, because for me, those aren't the formats that I want to play right now. That I'm not saying that won't change at some point, but everybody should be allowed to just choose, like, this is what I want to do, you know?
Yeah, I agree. I don't think I've ever had fun playing Goats a single match in my life, because I'm just like, for one time, can I just have a spy not get knocked? Just once. Just resolve it just one time, and I'd just be so happy. But it's so Goats, frustrating. I don't know how people play it like they do, honestly.
Yeah.
Goats is definitely tilting to me just because Frazier mentioned the Trinity. Like, the Trinity is really frustrating. Because, like, Goats, for the most part, feels like honest Yu-Gi-Oh! But then there's, like, the link with Duo and fucking, it's just like, bro, like,
the truth
it feels like shit when that happens.
The truth is that all of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is dishonest. The longer you play it, the longer you play any format, the more you realize, oh god, this one also has a lot of problems. I don't care where you go in the timeline.
Some are more obvious than others.
Yeah, some are more obvious than, like, Dragon Rulers was blatantly obvious, and we got that one right in 2013. But some of them, like Edison, for example, you could tell they did not have it right in 2010 at all, because fucking Gadgets got second and Quick Draw got first, and those decks are literally unplayable now. They're not even like competitive, and that's just like, if you did that to Tengu, if you did it to like Hat, theoretically the same type of thing would happen over years of time of playing it and refining it and having really, really good players play it. But the communities, a lot of times they're kind of segregated, where the good players just play like one format. Usually, sometimes they might dabble. Like I know James Ark, he'll play Edison. He'll dabble every once in a while and play like a hat tournament or something. But he's really an Edison guy, and he doesn't put that much effort into like hat. But imagine if like all of us just moved over to hat or whatever. Then we start to ruin that format too. Like we start to find problems where it's like this is now combo heaven format or whatever, you know, and the carpool's bigger in 2014. So the chances of it being annoying is even higher. But yeah, different strokes for different folks. Like different strokes. Some people like setting spy.
Before we go any further, Frazier, do you have like an air conditioner or something on?
I do have.
I noticed when you talk, there's like a white noise in your background a lot.
Yeah,
and at first I thought it was like going to go away, but
yeah, no, I just cut it off. I have a air purifier that I have on running 24/7, but I just cut it off, so I don't need it on. Cool. But yeah, thank you for letting me know.
Yep,
it is interesting. I've talked with Justin about this before. It's like the closer that you go to advanced format, this probably starts at like 2015. The more I feel like if those formats were revisited, they're probably just already like for the most part solved. Like there's no way that like Tier Elements isn't like the best deck of 2022 or like Sword Soul of 2021. It is interesting for sure.
I can agree with that.
As Yu-Gi-Oh went on, the company understood their game more. And they started knowing what, like they designed cards. Like you're going to buy these cards. These are going to be the cards of the format. This is what you're going to buy. And then when I put out the ban list, this is what's going to change. Like when Yu-Gi-Oh is a really old game now. So when it was first made, they didn't really know what they were doing. They were doing shit like fucking Feral Imp and Beaver Warrior. And they didn't really know where things were going. They didn't really know how to balance. Had some idea of it. They were like, at some point, like the strongest 4-star could be was 1800. And if it was 1800, it didn't have an effect. If it was stronger than 1800, it had a negative effect. And that's like their initial balance, and they didn't really know where they were going to go from there, and they tried to like do different things, and they would make archetypes that just did not work at all. Like they had a game plan, but the game plans just weren't functional. And I just think as Yu-Gi-Oh progressed, and as they were able to look at their game be played, they became more aware of like how things are going to work as well. So as it gets older, when they put out cards, they're much more intentional. It's like, this is what this deck is going to do, and this is going to be the best deck. And it's really hard to be like, oh no, actually secretly, like this is actually better. It's like, not really.
Yeah, the decks kind of build themselves for the most part.
Yeah, I think something too is like when decks became more archetypal and more engine based, like it wasn't really a lot of room for improvement or like I guess I'm trying to think like
individuality to
individual. Yeah, correct. So like I think that deck building became a little bit more linear as far as that goes.
I agree with that 100%.
So whereas you visit the earlier formats and you don't have those archetypes, you don't have those engines, your deck building, I think, becomes a lot more important in those instances. And I think that's why you have a lot more diversity in the formats as well, too.
Or some of the engines and archetypes were like kind of half-baked. So for example, you have Heroes, right? Yeah. Heroes has a strong engine, but in the time period we're playing in Edison, you don't really play a hero deck. You're playing heroes as an engine in another deck. You know what I mean? You're playing it with like Diva, or you're playing it with frogs or whatever. You're playing these engines. You're like mixing engines together. You're mixing archetypes together to create something. Whereas at some point you get to a point in Yu-Gi-Oh where the archetypes are so well rounded. They all have a card that they all have a searcher, they all have a starter, they all have a combo piece, they all have a boss. Like they all have the full package where it doesn't really make sense to mix Sword Soul with fucking Tier Elements.
Right.
Like you can't really mix them together. They already all do their own thing, and they're worded in a way where they can't really do anything for anybody else. Whereas the older archetypes were a bit more broad and they were less complete packages, so it was easier to like mix them together and come up with something new.
Yeah, now they literally put on the card, like if you use this effect, you cannot use things that in another archetype. It'll say you can only use light monsters this turn, or you can only special summon Sword Souls this turn, or whatever. It'll say something very just conflicting with another engine. Sometimes they let these things bypass. I know the Fiendsmith engine, you can splash that shit and everything. And then there's like, I heard that there's some new ritual, like a small ritual engine, I think that came out recently or something.
Mitsurugi.
There you go. And they were splashing that as in the Malice deck, or maybe in the Rizal deck, and then the Malice deck didn't have to play it at all or something like that. I forget what I heard, but if I played, I would play Malice. I think that archetype just looks really cool.
That archetype is cool.
I like that. Like when I play a deck, whatever, I like to look at the viability, like what can it do, but I also like the aesthetics of it.
Yep.
Like I want the deck to look nice. Like if you give me a deck where like they like fucking shit emojis or something like that, like I'm not gonna play it. I don't care what it does. Like, but
I'm a filthy dragon maid lover. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm logging off.
Yeah.
Hey, Justin.
I'm a filthy dragon mater. That's the only modern deck I know how to play, and it's not modern anymore. It was modern. You know.
Have you dabbled in modern at all, Mike?
I played. So the only, actually, I don't even have any more. The only modern deck I kept for a while was Crystal Beast because they actually got support that was really good for the deck, but just not good for the way that modern had evolved.
That happens often too. We saw some Dragon
thrown off.
cards.
I thought that was a bit. I thought that was like the grinder bit again because I've been making fun of Crystal Beast basically my whole life. So when you said the only modern deck I had built was Crystal Beast, I was like, wait a second, is he?
Crystal Beast have some spell cards. They have some spell cards that are like actually tier 0 spell cards.
Oh my God.
It's just the game is too fast. Like they have an equipped spell that literally is summons a Crystal Beast from your hand or your graveyard and then puts 2 from your deck in the spell and trap card zone. It just like for no reason goes like +3.
Yeah, that is pretty insane. That's what I've noticed whenever they retrain cards or release new support for old archetypes. The cards are tier 0. Glad Beast got that guy that says you can just like reveal him or something and get a Glad Beast from your deck, and then he special summons himself, and he does all of these other he's 1200. He's like a 3-star monster. And he does entirely too much. He searches Chariot as well. Like he's like you can
that card's crazy.
If you control a Glad Beast, and he says like you can special summon this if you control a Glad Beast, like a test tiger basically. Then when he's summoned, he searches out Chariot and then he tags out. I was like, these cards don't even. If you just put one of these in Edison, they make the deck tier 0 immediately.
It's crazy. Like Crystal Beast have a fusion that it's 4,000 base attack. You have to banish 7 Crystal Beasts to summon it. And while it's on the field, it gains 1,000 for every Crystal Beast that's banished. So it comes out at 11,000. By default, it's 11,000.
Hey yo.
And then it contributes itself. It shuffles everything on the field back into the deck, and then you summon as many banished Crystal Beasts as possible.
You're just saying things right now.
Either player's turn, by the way. Quick effect.
These are creator cards. That's legit what they are.
It
and
is.
they
It's
suck
a
in
creator
advanced
card.
format. If that gives you any indication how advanced format is, they suck in advanced format.
Dude, that reminds me of Frazier having the conversation of like, how much attack would a 4-star vanilla need in order to be like playable? And I think Silverman said like 50,000. Like
he said it would need enough to kill you at 8,000 through a boss monster. So like 11 to 12,000 would be the baseline for the stats for a 4-star vanilla to be playable in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! And he said it still will be unplayable. But at least it's like, oh, he kills me if it touches me, you know? It still was unplayable, but yeah.
You spend 20 minutes making your god board and you just get OTK'd 1 swing, 1 battle phase, 1 normal summon. That'd be crazy.
Dude, you could even like be like a retrain Gemini elf, but it'd be like GYM, like a buff ass Gemini elf.
Gemini. I like that. Look at you cooking, Gemini
That's
elf.
right. You got them dad jokes.
Hell yeah.
Dude, before I forget, Boyd.
Oh my God. I'm sorry. You have a fucking Sanji tattoo.
Oh, dude. Is this like PG? Or is this like a rated R pod?
No, we can say whatever you want.
I'm sorry, I just cut all of that off, but because like I have a visceral reaction.
Oh shit!
I got like 1,000 Sunny and like the going very much fast.
Your tattoo's amazing,
bro. Listen, I love One Piece.
Knock on my axe fist.
I'm on chapter 1139. I haven't read the 1140 yet, but I got Dragon Ball tattoos. I got like my hand tattoos. Like once I got my salary job, I'm getting whatever I want. But like, I got anime tats all over the leg, dude. But I love One Piece, man. But
yeah.
I just randomly, I fucking threw everything off. But I just randomly was looking at this, and I was like, "Is that a Sanji tattoo?" And then
what are you looking at?
It clicked. What?
What are you looking at? My Grindr profile?
No. Yeah. I saw the one with your cock. It was crazy.
I forgot it was right. Okay.
Yeah, that's that one I saw before the podcast started. I noticed the skull.
I noticed it right now. I was just like, I saw like the skull and crossbones, and then I was like, wait a minute, is that like the Sanji eyebrow and a chef hat and a fork? And I was like, oh my God.
Before we started recording, Kenny, when you said there was something you noticed about Justin, and I thought that I thought it was that tattoo.
No, yeah. I was just going to make a joke. I was just going to say, like, is your car your office? Because, like, you came out to the car, you're set up, you're like, this is where I'm at. But then you mentioned that, like, the kids are going to make you play the PlayStation and the Nintendo and all that other stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But I know for a lot of people, like, their car is their office. They're like, I got shit I got to do, and they go to the car.
Justin's car is also his house.
Yeah. So my main cave is where I was going to record this with the door closed. But so funny story. Back in November, my kids wanted pet bunnies. So me and my wife's like, okay, we'll go to Rural King or whatever, this little farm store, and get some bunnies. So the guy selling us bunnies were like, okay, well, I have 2 left of their sisters. And I'm like, well, I can't just get one and not get the sister. That's fucked up. So I got what I thought was 2 girls.
Oh, God.
And about a month ago,
no.
So one rabbit started like humping the other one, and my wife looked up on Google, and it's like it's natural. Girl rabbits do that too. I'm like, okay, whatever. So about a month ago, my wife picked up one rabbit, and it was like really heavy. And she looked at the other rabbit, and all of a sudden, he's just laying there with his balls out. Like, where the fuck did these come from?
Oh God!
And so the rabbit just gave birth like 2 days ago to 10 babies, and so we're going to like, yeah,
it's crazy that animals can just hide their shit.
Yeah, so I called the place back, and I'm like, can you guys take rabbits back because you sold me a male and a female? And that's when they were like, oh, yeah, about 2 months ago, they got loosed out of the pen and we just put them back in there. Like, what the fuck does that do? Like, what good is that for me? Like,
yeah, that's crazy. They sold you two fucking, like a whole couple.
Dude, yeah. So I've been trying to find a rabbit breeder like close by just because, like, I'm not just going to like give them to someone random or just dump them off somewhere because, like, I love animals, but God, dude, I cannot kill rabbits. Like,
yeah, the rabbits they say they fuck a lot, right? So they're going to produce, like, they're going to get bigger and
the female rabbit can get pregnant 4 minutes after giving birth.
That is not okay.
Yeah, so
that's insane.
And how long is like the incubation period? Like, how long are they pregnant?
I don't know. I just know that like my wife noticed it about a month ago.
Yeah, I don't think it's very long.
She's looked all this stuff up. Like I haven't, but like she's been super ready for it. And I'm like, I'm just hoping it's fat, dude. Like I could not.
That's
I don't want
so interesting to me that the animals in general, when I think about it, they can like reproduce offspring and then get pregnant again 4 minutes later. It probably doesn't take them 9 months to actually push a baby out, or 10 babies apparently. Yeah, it's like something is growing that rapidly though. Think about that. Like something is happening inside of this animal so quickly that 10 new life forms are being formed and they're fully viable. They have hearts and everything. Like
we got them back in November, and I'm sure as hell I don't think they were celibate for a month and a half. You know what I mean?
Right.
No.
Like, it's probably a month or two, but anyways, that's why I'm in my car. Because I love my kids. They're just like super loud and stuff like that and running around.
Is it, you have boys, or you have a boy and a girl? What do you have?
I have a boy. I have 2 boys. One's 8 and one's 4. My oldest son plays Yugioh with me.
Nice.
Yeah, he plays Edison format. He plays Dragon Turbo right now because he loves Blue Eyes.
Oh, that's amazing.
So, dude, let me tell you what he did. So we went to.
Is this the story where he played Dragon Turbo in modern format?
Yes. So
this is
we went to a local that's like
crazy.
It's like they're not competitive or anything. Like, this would be a good place to take them. It's a lot of casuals, and so he took Dragon Turbo, and of course we took out like the heavy and stuff like that. And he put in Jinzo in his deck because he loves Jinzo and put an Axe of Despair. He used Change of Hearts on this dude's card, and he tributed it for Jinzo, equipped with Axe of Despair, and beat him because this guy was playing like Labyrinth, which is all traps.
Yes,
and he didn't bother to read what the crap, what the hell Jinzo did. So like my son beats him, and this guy, he is tilted. And he's tilted, and he's got like he's where his nails are painted. He's like emo, which I used to be emo, nothing against emos.
Yeah.
But my son just looks at him in the eyes, and he's like something about like I just beat you emo or something like that. And this dude was tilted, and he did not come back the next week.
Damn.
But yeah, he got scrubbed.
The kids nowadays are brutal because like
bro, they'll
play Fortnite and like they'll talk shit. So if they beat you in real life, not only are they going to talk shit, they're going to like do a Fortnite dance. They're going to get up and fucking Fortnite dance on you, and you're like, bro, and how am I getting default danced on?
Bro, I'm just so thrown off from that I'm so old now. There are Yu-Gi-Oh players that don't know what Jinzo does. Like that guy didn't know what Jinzo did. That's crazy to me.
So I want to go back a little bit. We were talking about like advanced and Edison being different. Boyd and I went to a 3v3 tournament, and there were 3 advanced players who were really, really good. They like top every regional in the area and everything. Came into the Edison format with like championship belts on. And I'm not going to say the name of the team just because.
Yep.
But they had championship belts, and they came in there expecting to wipe the floor with everybody, and lost. They lost every match they were in.
Damn.
Yeah.
It's a different format. Like, here's the thing: those people, whoever they are, they're obviously accomplished Yu-Gi-Oh players. They would be good at the format if they respected it and actually played it. You know what I mean? And they gave it the time and the respect and learned how to play. They would be good at it. They're good Yu-Gi-Oh players. Why wouldn't they be good at it? But it's the fact that they think they can just play it without giving it the respect and without giving it the time. They think they can just like turn it on and beat everybody. It's like not really going to work that way.
And also too, like a lot of advanced players go into like the format thinking like with the mindset of advanced, like I'm just going to use every resource I have turn 1, and they got to break my board, and they end up like just completely losing because of it. Like Blackwing players, normal summon sure, a special board, a special guild, set a card and pass, and then
that
you lose
happened like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, so then you lose to a Mirror Force, like, your turn 2. So, like, I think that's why a lot, and then they'll like, oh, this format sucks, I'm not going to play again.
That's exactly what
Yeah.
happens. They shit on it after they lose one time. They're like, oh, this format's, terrible, and I don't know why people play it. But it's like, okay, but you suck at it. You're only bitter about it because your ego got checked,
Yeah.
I checked my ego. When I first came into Edison, I knew that just because I had accolades before I quit, that I couldn't just come into this new version of the game and decide that I was going to still be like one of the GOATs or whatever. I came in very humble, very willing to learn. I was listening to a lot of other people's opinions before I started forming my own. And eventually I got tired of listening to other people's opinions because I was being led astray. I was being told, fairies are great. I was being told that like Blackwing suck. I was being told that just like everything.
Everybody was being told Diva Hero was the best deck.
Being told Diva Hero was the best. Yeah, just
that
like
was just not true.
A lot of things that now everyone realizes they don't hold up. And so when I started to finally get my feet where they needed to be on the ground, I felt comfortable enough to start, really making my mind up about how I felt about the format and what I thought was actually good. And that's when frogs happened. Like once I realized that this is where I need to be, I have not looked back since, and it's been very pleasant for me. But that first year of discovering what I liked, I've went through every single deck and none of them felt like home. Like not a single one felt like home. It's so funny because if I had tried frogs earlier, I think that I could have saved myself some heartache, but I actually appreciate the fact that I had to go through a journey of getting scraped with every deck that I tried. Lightsworn, Blackwing, Vayu, Nerlaris, Dragon Turbo, Amaryllis, Fairies, Christia Sworn, Diva Hero, Hero Beat. I mean, I literally tried everything. And every time I tried a new deck, I thought it was the best deck. I was like, oh, this deck just won an RBET. It's zombies. Zombies are the best deck. I'm going to play zombies. I'm going to be great at zombies. I'm going to be the best zombie player anyone's ever seen. And then I would draw a hand of Zombie Master, Tragonia, and 4 spells and traps. And I'd be like, this deck is fucking awful. I don't know how anyone's ever won. I don't know how anyone has ever won with this ever. Did not switch over to Diva Hero. And I draw all the water parts, no heroes ever, bunch of Miracle Fusions.
Yep. It's a rant.
It kept happening.
Diva Hero was actually my first deck that I had when I got into Edison, and it was like very like primitive, like D-Draw, Diamond Dude, like how it would have actually been built. And I went into Edison, I was like, I don't want to play Lightsworn. Like, at least in the beginning, I want to play something that's different. And then I got so tired of drawing Gilman Double Malicious, I was like, I would rather just draw Wolf, because then at least I can draw Recharge. So I was like, whatever. I'm just going to go back to Lightsworn, what I've always played. And that's what I've been on ever since, pretty much.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you at all. Yu-Gi-Oh! I do love that, like you guys said, these people came in, super cocky. I've seen that still. There are people who show up to YCS's Ultimate Time Wizards. I'm also not going to name any names, but like they show up, they might be a champion, they might be like a really well-known player, a good player, and they kind of don't take it seriously. I saw someone reading a Vayu. Okay, this guy has won events and he's considered a good player because he's, in the history of the game, he's played and he's done well. But he was reading he's playing Vayu Turbo. He had to read his cards at the actual event because he just like, oh, I just picked this up like this week and I've been scraping everybody in my friend group or whatever. And this format's super easy. Obviously, he got destroyed in Orlando, right?
Yeah.
But I told him, I said, you probably want to start taking it a little bit, more serious because the deck that won the event happened to be Vayu Turbo. That guy has been grinding that deck and understands that deck and all of its matchups and how to side deck with it and all these other things. He's put in a lot of time with it. And I know that you're like, in theory, you're supposed to be better because of the past, but that doesn't just like translate that easily in here. You have to give the game some kind of respect when you want to play a different format. Like I wouldn't expect to go into Modern right now and be like, I'm gonna just pick up Ryziel and I'm just gonna top a YCS immediately with Ryziel because I'm that good. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah. I have a story kind of like that from Orlando. I was sitting next to a guy who I'm pretty sure he's a YCS champion. I won't say who, but he was playing Vayu versus Lightsworn, and he goes to attack over a wolf with an armed wing and gets hit with Honest. And then he attacks his Stardust into the wolf and is wondering why it doesn't die. He has no idea that Honest lasts to the whole to the end phase. Picks up the Honest, reads it, puts it back down, picks it back up, reads it, and then he just like scoops. And I was
that's
like,
crazy.
Man,
also,
that's tough.
On that same note, I think we lost Justin, but I'm assuming he'll be back.
Yeah, because he's still in that. He's there. He is. He's still in the call. Hey,
but on that same note,
oh, he's in his man cave now. I could tell. Yeah. He's muted right now.
You're also muted, Justin.
Yeah, you're muted.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, I had to move in here and put my phone on the charger.
I see all your posters and stuff, though. But go ahead, Kenny. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
Yeah, I do want to talk about the man cave. But to what we were saying earlier, to the point that you were just making now, Yu-Gi-Oh, Edison, Goat, Tengu, Modern. They are different games. Obviously, Edison and Tengu or Goat, they're more similar games than what Modern is currently. But Edison and Modern are different games. So going into Edison format, being a Modern player, or vice versa, trying to go in the Modern player format if you're a really good Edison player, and not expecting to have to do the homework that made you good in the format you're good in is just a farce, because once again, it's like a different game. That's like you saying, oh, I'm really good at Yu-Gi-Oh! I can just play Magic the Gathering.
Right.
I'll just get a blue-white deck and I'll just go in and I'll just play and I'll read my cards mid-match and I'll be fine. Like, no, that doesn't make sense. Like,
and you know, playing advanced, like one card is going to net you like +6 or 7 in advantage at the end of the turn, right? And in Edison format, like you just don't get that kind of advantage. And coming from Edison into advanced format, like you can't just do the bare minimum and expect there to be a turn 3 because there's not going to be. So there's a lot. There's a lot of difference in the two formats, and I think that's where a lot of advanced players messed up coming into Edison, is because like I said, they're going to spam everything they have turn 1, and it's not going to work.
I've seen that, and I've seen them also attack into a set Dyna and lose it all.
Yeah, they'll pick it up and read it.
The look on their face when it happens. Yeah, then they have to read the Dyna. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, experience.
They might even attack a Beast King Barbaros with like a skill drain set. You know, they might just
Beast King's crazy. Yeah,
they might just attack them.
There's especially a curve too, like depending on when you really started to learn Yu-Gi-Oh. Like I said, I started kind of competitively playing in 2013. I didn't learn fundamentals of the game to how to play Edison. Like it doesn't translate. Like summon 2 dragon rulers, make Draco sack isn't the same. It doesn't translate backwards very well. So I had to learn a lot of things that everyone else kind of already knew, like attack lowest to highest most of the time, you know, play around Gores and stuff like that. And I was just like, I'll attack with my biggest guy first because it has the most damage, you know, and they drop Gores and game's over.
Yep.
So a lot of a learning curve there.
I'll still attack with lowest first in advanced format. I don't care. like
you're not chancing it.
Light and Darkness Dragon was being played like 3 months ago in a regional. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
wait, what?
Yeah, Light and Darkness Dragon was being played in a regional. It's like 3 months ago. There's like an archetype. They're called Horde card. Yeah, they spam like Rain K. It's like free special summons. So people would like just tribute Lad and then like sit on like 4 negates or whatever. And
I'm thinking of
yeah.
I was thinking of something else. Didn't they just make, either just came out or is about to come out, like the Light Dragon and the Dark Dragon that makes Light and Darkness Dragon? Like, didn't they make like the dark
they came
one
out with that.
and
Yeah,
the
there's
light
a
one?
fusion. Yeah, they got a fusion of it too, which people do play. So free frames.
It's also interesting because we do have Light End Dragon and Dark End Dragon, and those are kind of the halves as well. But then they made like more cards for that archetype. They could do a whole archetype for Light and Darkness Dragon, and I'll be here for it. I love that card.
Yeah. The Dragon Rulers are coming soon, right?
Yep.
The new Dragon Rulers, they're on their way.
I'm pretty stoked about that too. You can play with your Dragon Maids if you want to.
Hell yeah! They added more Dragon Maid support. You know, I never bought the deck. I have it built on Master Duel. I haven't played Master Duel in, I don't know, since the year it came out. But I was going to buy the deck just to have it because like I really like the cards. They're cool. I'm a fucking weeb. I love anime. And I was like, oh yeah, cool. Like I'll just buy these cards just so I have them. But like
that was something I was so disappointed in.
They're so expensive, man. They're so like I was like, I'm not spending hundreds of dollars for like this thing I'm just gonna have that was never competitively viable. I'm just getting it because I like it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just like frustrating.
When Master Duel first got announced, I was actually kind of excited because I was like, well, I'll play like some advanced if I don't have to like pay for the cards, you know, if I'm playing on an online simulator where I don't have to like fight with people about what card effects do, like on Dueling Book. And the day it came out, I let it download. I was so excited. And I saw I had to like craft cards. And I was just like, yeah, uninstall. I'm done. Sorry.
Yeah. So
I can't do it. I can't do it.
The way it's set up is kind of frustrating because with a new account, with all the new currency, you can easily build any deck you want. Whatever deck you want to build, you can build it within the first day of playing. You can build literally any deck in the game. The problem is you can't build the second deck. Like you won't have, like it'll give you all the resources. You can fully build one entire deck, no problem. But you won't have the resources to build a second deck, and you don't accrue the resources fast enough. So in that point, in order to build the next deck, you're going to have to spend money. And it's like,
Yep, that's their model. Yeah. It's a very good model, too, because I believe Master Duel and Duel Links, they're the biggest money makers now for Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, in terms of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Product, those are just raking it in. And that makes sense, right? Because they, like, you're paying for a digital asset. You're paying for something that's not real. Pokemon TCG Pocket. It's all the same. They all use. It's all the Hearthstone model. It's all the same thing, right? Like you can you can play it for a lot. You can technically earn enough to buy cards, but like Kenny said, you'll never get the second deck without putting your wallet in on there and cashing out. They know that. Like they know you can't do it reasonably. It's like when EA did that whole thing with the Star Wars game where in order to get Darth Vader, it would take you 3 years of your life with no bathroom breaks, never eating or sleeping. Yeah. Somebody was like, it would take 3 years to get Darth Vader by playing the game, and you could never sleep, you could never eat, you could never do anything besides play the game for 3 years straight. And then and only then could you afford Darth Vader. So
dude, I remember
that's insane.
I remember back when like, oh gosh, like when games, just everything you needed to download was like in game. Like there was no purchases. I remember getting like playing like Budokai Tenkaichi 2 and 3, and you would like fuse the Protari earrings and get any characters you want. And I literally bought a PS5 for Sparking Zero. And it's like, okay, well here's 80 characters, and then you need to buy the rest. And
that game disappointed me so much. I got that game, I played it like 4 or 5 times, and it's just frustrating. There's a lot about it that's frustrating. So I won't get into the rabbit hole there, but there's a game that came there. There's a really popular game called Xenoverse 2, and the combat system in that game feels really fun and fluid. And I was assuming that Sparking Zero was going to have a combat system similar, because if you look at the games, they look like it's this free roaming, fly around fight game. So they look like they're the same type of game, same type of engine. Sparking Zero's engine is so much clunkier, and the way you kind of like combo things together just feels so much worse from a gameplay perspective. But then on top of that, like you said, it's just frustrating because like if this same game came out on the PS2, all of those characters would just be there.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't have to spend extra money every couple months to get them all.
I don't like the direction that gaming has gone in the last 10 years or 20 years or however long. I don't know how long it's been because I'm getting older and it's happening so quickly that I'm not realizing how much time has actually passed. It's like when people bring up, like I see those memes that'll be like, people think Final Fantasy looked like this 10 years ago, and then it'll show Final Fantasy 15 came out 10 years ago instead of like Final Fantasy 7, right? With the little polygons. It'll be like when people say this Final Fantasy came out like 20 years ago, you're thinking of some fucking polygonal game, and then they show Final Fantasy 10. Where they're talking, it's 3D models and everything. You're like, God damn, that was actually 20 years ago. Now it's been 24 years. But yeah, it's just crazy how much time is passing.
You can stop whenever you want.
I know.
Dude, you can stop whenever you can stop hurting me.
It is crazy. Like, when you play Yu-Gi-Oh! And you pick up cards that are like 20 years old. Yeah. It's insane to think.
Like you said, Jinzo.
Yeah, I have like a Metal Raiders. I mean, like Heavy Storm. I mean, like that is over 20 years old. And that is insane. That is like over twice as old as my oldest son, which already makes me feel old.
That is so weird to think about. You have cards that are so many times older than your kids.
Yeah. Also, just kind of on that note, something I miss is the way they did artwork back in the day. Like all of the archetypes now are just like some version of an anime girl. An anime character.
I think there's just too much going on in the picture in a lot of cards.
Yeah.
Like what is that? You know what I mean? It's like there's so much going on where it's like it was more simplistic. It was actual monsters and everything.
Yeah, like like I said already, I'm a weeb. I love the anime aesthetic. I love all those characters, and I want them in Yu-Gi-Oh! In terms of artwork. But I also just want like those weird, like Thousand Eyes Idol. You know, I want like those weird.
Everything is mecha or just a girl now, like a fucking waifu or mecha. Everything is waifu or mecha.
Or a mecha waifu, you know?
Or like, mecha, the fucking Sky Strikers. Literally mecha waifu.
There was the artwork that came out like a month ago, and I just went on like a 2-day rant in our Time Wizard chat, and I'm sure people got really sick of me. But it's a new trap card that came out, and it has Dark Greffer on it. But he's like blushing, and he has like his hands together, and he's dreaming about DD Warrior Lady, and it's like cartoonified. Do you know the card I'm talking about, Justin?
Oh my goodness, I have to look this up.
And it was,
I'm looking just like right now.
I was like, this is a disgrace.
What is it called? Do you know?
Dark Greffer. I don't remember what the name of it is. I don't think it's come out yet. Do you know, Justin?
I think it's come out. I don't remember the name of it. Like it's one of those.
Was it a DD card? I'm sure it was a DD card.
Maybe I got it in my bulk box somewhere. Probably.
I'll see if I can find it.
It's a penny card, but let's look up Dark Greffer and look up artworks or whatever appearances, and it should tell you what card he's in. But yeah,
it's either Dark Greffer or Warrior Die Greffer. I think they're the same card technically.
Yeah,
you know what's funny? So I forgot about like Dimension Wall has Greffer attacking DD Warrior Lady and like him falling through and attacking himself instead.
Yeah.
So and then DD Warrior Lady is Warrior Lady of the Wasteland. Dark Greffer is obviously Warrior Die Greffer. So there's a lot of lore with these monsters in general. I never really knew that there was a through line for them. I never really looked at Dimension Wall until now that I Googled it, but
yeah, there's a YouTuber, and I don't remember his name, but he actually did like a 20-minute lore video on Dark Greffer, and he like took each individual card and put the story together, and it was really good. Yu-Gi-Oh has some good stories, like
It does.
and if they were to take like, especially the dual terminal stories, if they were to animate this stuff, I think it'd be like the Necros and things like that.
Yep. The ice barrier
and stuff.
monsters being worn as
ice
armor.
barriers, and then like the dual saga stuff, like Shaddolls and stuff like that. That you can make a really good anime out of that.
There's awesome anime. Like when I was playing Master Duel, there like the story mode part. There was like this part. I don't remember exactly what the story was, but one of the stories was like the monarchs, and they were talking about how the monarchs came and how they like took over the land, and then how there was like a monarch above them, and just like all of like there was this whole storyline for the monarchs, and then storyline for the Glad Beast, and they go through these storylines of these cards and characters, and then like you said, I know there's YouTube channels that'll tell what the story of the cards are by getting all the, like there's one for Go Giga Gaga Gigo, which is one of my favorite cards to say. But it's like, you know, Gabite, Gaga Gigo, Giga Gaga Gigo, Go Giga Gaga Gigo, and then his relationship with like I think it might also be Warrior Digrapher and all of the other like anyway, but you look at all of these cards and it tells a story amongst the cards and these interactions that they have and the wars that they have with other factions. It's really cool. And you can make a pretty fucking cool anime out of it.
I think that Konami has been like weirdly hinting at an anime for just the cards that doesn't focus on a random antagonist or protagonist that has Yugimoto hair.
Yeah. The way I understand that is I think it's going to be like each episode is going to be like a different story.
Yeah.
That could be cool.
Like you might have one that's like Six Samurai and one that's like Blue Eyes.
That could be so good if they do it right.
Yeah.
Like what you just said.
They're doing one a month on their YouTube channel, from what I understand. So you got to wait like it's like I think it's like a 30-minute episode. So you'll get 12 episodes an entire year. Which is still better. Yeah, it's better than what we're getting now.
They could call it Six Samurai one, like Gozen match. That'd be really cool.
Yeah,
that would be really cool.
Yeah,
and I think that's a problem with Yu-Gi-Oh now too. Is like it's the barrier to entry is so high for Yu-Gi-Oh right now. It's a hard card game for people to learn, even like coming into Edison format, because there's like no anime to draw kids in. Yep. So that's why you see like a lot of older players that are playing Yu-Gi-Oh. Like go to my locals. There's not anybody that's like younger than 19 probably playing.
Yeah, they haven't made a new anime in a long time, right? Like there's not a fucking weird kid with Yugi hair.
I mean, there is. It's like Yu-Gi-Oh Rush, but like we don't have that in the States. So like it's only in Japan. So like that's not going to bring in a new play. Like
even that, I didn't know that existed. But even that, there's been a really big gap between whatever the last Yu-Gi-Oh anime was and this.
Yeah, I think it's been 6 years. So.
I'm surprised they're letting the anime kind of fall a little to the wayside in America, because in my head, that is what got me playing. Well, not even in my head. Factually, that's how I became a Yu-Gi-Oh player, is because I was seeing it on Kids WB. Pokemon would come on, Yu-Gi-Oh would come on, a bunch of other cartoons would come on Saturdays, and I would be like, damn, I kind of like these cards, and I saw them in real life, and I had to have them because the anime.
And anime's bigger now than it ever has been.
Literally.
Like, if you ever wanted to use it as a medium to get people into your fucking game, it's now. Dude, they could just rip off what, like, the trend in anime is. They could do, like, a Trapped in Another World Yu-Gi-Oh anime. Like, they could just make a Yu-Gi-Oh anime where, like, kid gets trapped in the world.
That time I got reincarnated as a duelist.
Oh, yeah.
They literally could just do that.
Yeah. They have this Yu-Gi-Oh manga out. It's called Yu-Gi-Oh Structures in Japan. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. But each chapter is like they're playing with meta deck, and there's a main character in the manga, but every other issue he's playing a different deck, and it's just like imagine if you were watching an anime playing with current decks or relatively current decks.
Right.
That would bring people into the game, I feel like, too, and buy a current product on top of it.
Yeah. I saw their earnings release recently for Konami, and one of the questions that was asked to one of the like top executives is, how are you guys bringing in new people? Sorry about the ambulance. Okay, anyway, I live in Philadelphia, so there's sometimes firefighters, there's fucking ambulances, all types of shit. But the question that was asked was, how are you guys bringing in new people to play the game? Because once people are in it, they stay in it for a long ass time. The maelstrom, the vortex of Yu-Gi-Oh is strong, right? People have a hard time exiting this maelstrom.
Yeah, but you never really quit.
But how do you get new people in there? And the guy said, in Japanese or whatever, but he was like, that's where we are struggling the most right now. We have a hard time getting new players. So in theory, Yu-Gi-Oh, if it ever started to die, it would die with us, because there aren't really new children playing Yu-Gi-Oh. I do think the game is too complicated from a modern standpoint. I think that if you told a kid to sit down and do these long ass ridiculous combos. Not only is that hard, but the price of things. Now they don't. Well, I can't say they don't control it, but like secondary market is going to do what the secondary market does, but they could help, right? Like they could drive down the prices if they wanted to.
The thing is, in early Yu-Gi-Oh. So, for example, what does it say? Like 6 and up, like ages 6 and up on the packs. Like that's just a lie. Like it's not true.
Yeah, it's literally not true.
But in early Yu-Gi-Oh, before archetypes existed, even like before there was like archetypes, then even when archetypes got introduced, but early Yu-Gi-Oh, you could just get a thing of cards and you can put them together and you could play a deck. Because if you're trying to build the decks without, or trying to play the game without the secondary market, just buying straight from Konami, you're buying packs of cards. So you're getting random cards. It's loot boxes. So the point that I'm making is that how the fuck is a 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old going to buy 5 packs of cards from his allowance or his mom get him cards? How's he going to build a deck? He's not going to get all the pieces he needs. Whereas before, you could just throw like a Feral Imp and a Beaver Warrior and a Kaiku and a deck. And like, you're not making a good deck, but you could play the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, in order to play the game of Yu-Gi-Oh!, you have to spend I mean, I guess you could buy a structure deck, but then even then, you have to do an essay to fucking figure out how all these cards interact.
What was really cool back then when we were growing up, when you pack something, you would just start playing it usually. Like
you just put it in your deck.
I would pack I packed the fiber jar. And I tell the story about how I packed it. I thought it was terrible. One day, because it sat on my dresser for months, and my best friend would come over to my house. We'd play video games, and he would say, "Let me have that damn jar. You don't even play it. You don't want it." So to spite him, one day I put it in my deck without telling him, because we would play Yu-Gi-Oh! Periodically. And he attacked face down, and it was a fiber jar. And we shuffled everything up, and like I think I like Ring of Destruction him, and then I fiber jarred him again, and I Ring of Destruction him again in the same duel, and I bust out laughing at his reaction to like, he's like, "Yo, that's fucking so stupid that we keep resetting the game, but you keep drawing 6 and I keep drawing 5," because he's attacking into it. So like, he draws 5. He sets up or whatever, but he already normal summons, so he can't even like defend himself. That shit was so funny. But basically, my point is, back then, I had gone to 7-Eleven with him. I packed a fiber jar, and it eventually became part of my identity as a player. And he packed a Tyrant Dragon, and so he was like, he just played dragons because he packed Tyrant Dragon. He already liked dragons, and that to him was a sign. So he would just play Tyrant Dragon, and I would have to deal with the fact that like, damn, I can't use traps on this thing because Tyrant Dragon just has that effect. It was cool that like you would pack something, even if it wasn't good meta-wise, a kid would just put it in their deck and play other kids. Now I just don't think that that's part of the culture of Yu-Gi-Oh! Anymore. I don't think that you just add what you packed. People know it's kind of sad, but like kids aren't even the way they were anymore either in today's day and age, because like now they know because of the internet, oh, I pack shit. So they'll throw their cards away too that are just not even really that good because they know what the chase cards are just like we do. Like they're not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they're not dumb. They know like, oh, I packed the Ryziel card that I need to build my deck. I need 2 more of these deck. Can you go buy them for me? As opposed to like, oh, I packed like this cool Labyrinth card. I guess I'll just throw it in my deck. It's just it's so different. And I kind of feel bad.
I think what they need to do, and in their perspective, maybe this is like way too much of a commitment, but I actually think it would make them so much money. I think if you take a page out of the MMO book, MMOs at a point in time were like some of the biggest games in the world. WoW was like one of the biggest games ever, World of Warcraft. And then it's really hard to crack into that MMO market, but there's a bunch of other ones. But there's World of Warcraft, there's like RuneScape, Final Fantasy 14 is really big. But what all of the MMOs have done is they've come out with an old school version. There's a WoW Classic where you can play World of Warcraft, but without all of the new shit. And it's just like classic. It's an official classic World of Warcraft server. But then they update that server in an old, like, so I know more about the RuneScape one. There's literally RuneScape, which is the current game. And then there's old school RuneScape, which is an official thing by the people that make RuneScape. Old school RuneScape is designed like how RuneScape was designed in like 2002, but they've added content to it for the last like 10 years, but it still plays like the old version of RuneScape. So it's like, what if the timeline split and we went in a different direction? And this game was balanced this way instead of power creeping in this way. And so we kept the power level and we kept the design with the tradition of what it was back then that these players like. And then we just add new content onto that. I say all that to say is Konami can take a page from the resurrection and this love of these old formats like Edison and Tengu and Hat and Goat. It can take that and then say, we're going to start printing cards of that older power level. Like when we make packs, we'll make a new pack that's like blah, 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 some crazy shit with all this crazy stuff for the modern players, but then also just make a pack of cards, new cards that are balanced around the power level of 2010 or 2012. And then you create a whole other section of Yu-Gi-Oh! That is now modern Yu-Gi-Oh! But it is an official supported format of the power level of 2010 with brand new cards in it. Like, they go in that direction. I think they make so much fucking money.
Yeah, I know that.
That'd be really cool.
It's difficult getting my son to. He plays Yu-Gi-Oh, but he doesn't enjoy it per se. I don't think as much as I thought he would. Because we'll go to this locals where it's casual players, and he might steal a game or two here and there. But then we'll go to another locals, my main one, and he'll get Fiendsmith comboed and just lose turn one because they don't care about playing it. They just want the pack at the end of the day, right?
Yep.
And then I feel bad because I can't, my son's on the other end of the room and he just looks so discouraged. And he's looking at his hand and he just wants to summon his blue eyes. That's all he wants to do.
Right. That sucks.
And this guy's going full combo on him. And when he's like, okay, I win the game. And then my son's like, oh, I don't even get a turn. It's disheartening. He don't tell me, but
you could tell. You can tell.
Yeah, I can see it. And then you go pick up your packs and all he gets is his entry pack, And it's like, hey, buddy, we'll get up next time.
I was there. Go ahead.
Yeah,
it's just
go ahead.
I tell my son that you can summon one monster per turn, and then he watches a guy summon 15. It's
yeah.
I wonder if they think about the experience that children are having, and that's why they can't get new people in the game. Because now that you say that, I don't have children. Neither Kenny nor I have children, and so I haven't really thought too much about how an actual child who is 8 years old, who wants to play Yu-Gi-Oh! With his dad, or wants to play Yu-Gi-Oh! In general because it seems like a cool thing to do, and he goes to play, runs into modern players. Now, granted, even when I was 17 and I played against a child, obviously I'd beat them, but they would play the game, right? If it was 2011 and I'm playing with my Tengu, if I played Tengu Plants and it was 2011, I go summon Tengu turn 1, set a Solemn Warning, pass. He'll go summon Lord of D, play Flute of Summoning Dragon, summon Blue Eyes from his hand. I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, you know what?
And,
we're playing now, right? And so even though I'll win, he got the experience of playing. Now they don't even get the fucking experience of playing the game because you lose.
It's like, I might have lost, but dude, I summoned Blue Eyes and he dealt 3,000 damage to you. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And we went to a bulk box and I was like, let's get you some cards, buddy. And so I'm going through a stack trying to pick out some cheap staples, and he's pulling out Dark Magician Girl. He's pulling out Mermaid Archer, all these cool looking cards. And when you think about it, that's what got me into the game was these cards looked really, really cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it was through playing with your cool looking cards and picking up new cards, and you start winning. Then you become addicted to winning, which is why you pick up better decks.
Yep.
That's how we are where we are now. But they just want to play cool looking cards,
And if there's not other kids to play against, because that's the thing, you need other kids to play against. Because when you would go to these regionals back in the day, I remember I'd be there, AU, you go there, and then you're playing your deck. Kid is playing his deck that summons Blue Eyes or does whatever it does, and you beat him, sure, but he's going to play against another kid. There's other kids there.
Right.
He's going to play against another kid, and that kid's going to be playing. Yeah, and there's just other random shit that's going to happen. I had a similar experience, so I don't have kids myself, but I do have a lot of younger siblings. So I had a similar experience a couple years ago. I took my younger brother Jaden to alternate universes because he was getting really into Pokemon cards at the time. This is 5 years ago, maybe actually more than that. It might be closer to 6 or 7 years ago. But he was really into Pokemon cards. He really liked collecting Pokemon cards, and he wanted to play Pokemon. So I was like, all right, cool. So I bought a deck. I bought 2 decks, a deck for him, a deck for me, and we started going to AU to play, and he just couldn't keep up. You know what I mean? He just could not keep up with what the other people were doing, and the cards were too complicated. Pokemon's come a long way, just like every other card game. And it just ended up not being that fun for a kid because it's just how do you keep up? And there's just not other kids there. Everybody he's playing against was my age. There weren't fucking kids playing the game there. It was not fun. But I remember going to locals, I was maybe let's say I was 15. There'd be people there that were 15, 16, etc. There'd be adults. And then there'd be some 10-year-olds there too. And they'd all be playing. And I don't feel like it's that way anymore.
And the local level, so I know they have Dragon Duels for YCSs and for regionals where children play children. And from what I understand, even those are kind of shit for a newer kid. Because the kids, I know what you're about to say. The fucking kids there, some of them, especially the ones who are on the edge of aging out of it, they're just playing Rizio right now.
That's what I'm saying. You look up deck profiles. Oh, cool. What is this going to be? And it's freaking full Fiendsmith combo.
Yeah, they're playing the same shit. They're a 12-year-old is aware. A 12-year-old in Yu-Gi-Oh is a fucking full-fledged person at that point. They know how to do a full combo. They know how to go on YouTube and find out Jesse Cotton's new deck, and they'll show up to the Dragon Duel against all the other kids who are between ages 8 to 12 and destroy them the same way. So it's like that experience of not really getting to play the game and losing on turn one and watching somebody combo off for 5 to 7 to 10 minutes or whatever it takes can't be fun. I don't even like sitting through a 4 combo or doing a 4 combo to somebody else right now in Edison. I couldn't imagine if a kid played me and I was on that deck and I sat there for 10 minutes. It took me 10 minutes to kill somebody at Orlando this couple weeks ago. I did a combo that took so long. And it was all legal actions, but it literally took 10 minutes off the clock. Like actually, and factually 10 minutes.
That's what I don't get to is like I'll go to locals and my son's just summoning, setting a card and summoning a monster and passing. Does this guy really feel like he has to go for a 10-minute combo to beat my son?
Right.
Like you can only summon, like you don't have to do that. Like, are you just like test playing at this point? Like,
right. You can do that by yourself.
Yeah. And so
I was about to bring up like, I remember going to like regionals and YCSs in like 2014, 2015 and looking over at the Dragon Duel tables, and there would be kids with like 94 gray Spellground mats, max rarity decks, and there would be like a lot of them.
Yeah.
And now when you look at the Dragon Duel tables, it's like most of the kids don't have sleeves, and it's like one kid that's like very obviously much older than the rest of them.
That's what I'm saying.
94 gray Spellground max rarity deck, and he's just like farming for Dark Lord prize cards because that's what they get for like winning like the bigger ones.
You know what's even
it's
more
actually crazy
when you think about it. When we were younger and Dragon Duel was think about this. There were adults playing Yu-Gi-Oh, but at the end of the day, there weren't a lot of them, right? Like I feel like my age group, a little bit older than me, like Silverman's older than me.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that's like the generation that starts Yu-Gi-Oh. There was people older than us, but they were anomalies. We're like kind of the generation that's kind of starts playing competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! And it ages up with us. We're now old enough to have kids. So here's what's really happening. The people that are Silvermen that have kids, they're just sending their fucking kids in the Dragon Duel so they can get double the prizes. Like, oh, I'm going to get the prize. Right. Like, I'm playing in the main event. I'm going to get a prize here. And my fucking kid is going to go win Dragon Duel. And I'm going to bring that prize home too. Like, they're farming it because, like, you have Yu-Gi-Oh! Players that are parents now. And so they just soup their kids up with the shit. They go in there, farm, get the stuff, and bring it all home.
I am so curious to know how anyone would get into Yu-Gi-Oh! In 2025 from scratch. I think that I heard that the way it happens usually now is because of Master Duel. Master Duel is like people will see it in the app store. They'll see it advertised to them. They'll be like, oh, I used to play this game, or this game always looked fun to me. Now it's just an online on my phone thing that I can grab, or on my iPad or whatever. They'll download it. They'll start playing it, and then they'll quickly realize like either this is terrible, I don't even know what the fuck is going on, or they'll like keep playing it over and over again until they become like slightly addicted to it. I don't think that that's as effective as the anime was, and as just like being a kid and opening packs, because the dopamine rush from that I think is just unparalleled to anything that a computer generated game could do. But I do see the only way Yu-Gi-Oh! Will really be threatened, because people say Yu-Gi-Oh! Is dying all the time, and then we get like record-breaking numbers, but we're the people still playing it. Like Kenny said, we're the generation of people. We've been playing it. We haven't stopped. None of us have really fucking quit. Everyone who I know who's quit Yu-Gi-Oh! Has come back to it at some point in their life. Like they've all quit. I did it too.
The new kids that are getting in are people like it's people's sons, it's people's daughters. It's like the kid of Yu-Gi-Oh! Players, but then even then they're not having a great experience because I think Vinny, our boy Vinny, I think he said, I don't remember if he said it was his nephew or his son. But he was getting him in the Yu-Gi-Oh! And he was getting him in the Edison because he was like, good fucking luck teaching him modern. I think that another big thing is just that there's no anime, or I guess there's an anime now, but I think even the anime won't be as effective because the transition from the anime to being a 10-year-old and learning how to play those cards is like really daunting. Like you need to, like when you're 10, you know how to read, but like, do you? Like, how are you going to fucking play these cards?
And even if you can read the cards, there's like the game, I call it like the game within the game. Like I tried to teach my wife how to play Yu-Gi-Oh! And it would be like, she'd have Thunder King and I summon Gores. She's like, well, the card says, and I'm like, well, that you see, well, you're right, but it's not that kind kind of that lasted about 4 days. And this was for Edison.
Thunder King example. He doesn't negate a single fucking thing.
He doesn't negate anything. He doesn't. Nothing.
It's actually sad, man. I mean, this podcast became like a whole, I don't know, a think piece about how Yu-Gi-Oh! Is struggling to attract new people. And I think it's an important conversation to be had. And I'm glad that the 4 people in this call right now, all of us kind of grew up on Yu-Gi-Oh! You know what I mean? Like we all played it when we were much younger than we are now, before any of us had children or were married or whatever. So it's like, seeing what has happened to the game is a little sad in a way. It's still fun for people who enjoy Modern. I'm not like shitting on those people. And if you enjoy Edison or Tango, whatever format you enjoy, that's great. Like, we're already in it though. My issue is that I worry that they've made the game entirely too complicated for someone new to want to play it and to appreciate it. And I think that they need to find a way, and I'm not just saying this because I like Edison, but I need to find a way to slow things down and make it where you can set a monster again.
So that's why
I agree.
Because you can't, there's no way that they can rebalance the game. Because like Yu-Gi-Oh's not it's not like Magic the Gathering or Pokemon where it's set rotation.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
It's a really easy way to balance Pokemon where you put out a set and maybe that set's not overpowered, but then within 5 sets, if you all those other power cards get cycled out, now all of a sudden you have a complete different game. So you can completely rebalance your game within 5 sets or whatever their cutoff is. You can rebalance your whole game. Yu-Gi-Oh does it in a banless fashion. If all of a sudden they go, hey, we put out these last 5 sets, they're a completely weaker power level, we're banning every fucking card before these 5 sets. They're going to lose they're going to lose everyone. Everyone will quit. That's why you can't rebalance it in that direction. That's why I think going in a whole different direction and them just fostering a new format, call it Yu-Gi-Oh! Classic or whatever the fuck you want to call it. You just foster a whole new set of cards. You make new cards to print and sell. You lower the power level of the cards, and they're of their own format, and they're in line with, like you said, like any officially printed Yu-Gi-Oh! Card from after 2012 is illegal. And then only 2012 and back, and these new set of cards we're printing are legal in this format. Right. I think
Magic has done something similar to that.
Money.
They have like formats that are basically Frankenstein, so it's pieces from parts of the game's history. It's not like the most modern stuff. It's not the oldest stuff. It's not vintage. It's not legacy, but it's also not standard. It's like this format that they've created to curate for like a certain group of people that is a big part of their community, because some people don't want to play standard because it's just like the power level is too high now. People don't want to play vintage either because the power level was always too high with vintage. So it's like, where's the middle ground for people who actually want to like go back and forth and play? We're not looking for a turn 1 combo to win the game. I am never really trying to play that kind of Yu-Gi-Oh! I understand wanting the super try hard win and all that stuff. But like when I've won both the YCSs that I've won now, I had to fight every round. I didn't get to like, granted, yes, some people just lost a Royal Tribute or whatever, but that's only like, if you think that happened every single round and every single duel was just Royal Tribute and they lose, then you're an idiot, because obviously that's just not the reality of Yu-Gi-Oh! Like in Modern, sure, because you always draw, like you kind of always have combo at some point, but in old school where there's not as much searching and there's not as much archetypes, stuff like that, you had to duel back and forth. I had to set a spy, set a Starlight Rose, set an oppression and pass, and then my opponent goes summon Shura, attack, it's like a whole back and forth thing. There's dueling happening. This is the essence of the game. And I just kind of lost a bit. I agree with you, Kenny. I don't think that they could ever get back to that with a ban list. I don't think that a single ban list that they could come up with would ever correct the issue of how fast and how ridiculous the game is now. They would need to just flat out make something new.
Yeah, because they would probably end up making a deck that's like, maybe it wasn't actually good in the format that it came out in, but now it's so much better than everything else that it becomes a good deck. Yeah, like maybe like Sky Striker or something.
Your Crystal Beast shit that you were talking about.
Crystal Beast would be insane. Yeah,
dude, that's a good example though. That could be the jump off point. You take these new, because like they gave new support to Crystal Beast and Glad Beast, and whatever other Black Wings, right? These are not Crystal Beast. I was going to say these are beloved archetypes. I don't think Crystal Beast is a beloved archetype.
Some people do.
But Black Wings, Gladiator Beast, Lightsworn, right? These are archetypes that are beloved by a group of people, right? Yep. You print new support for them that's unplayable. They're just fun to look at. It's like, oh my god, this is fucking broken, but it's actually just unplayable. But here's what you do. Take the artwork of that card, take whatever that new Blackwing card is, take the idea of that card, distill down its power level to something of 2010, and then you print that as a new Blackwing card for this offshoot format. So basically, you don't even have to come up with entirely new ideas. You take the ideas that would have evolved certain archetypes, distill them down a bit, pare back their power, and then like, boom, you go from there. All of a sudden, you have new Blackwing cards, Lightsworn cards, etc., to play in this new like Neo Edison format that goes on from there. And I don't know, you just end up making something really cool. I think people would be really fucking excited for like an officially supported retro format that's getting new support, that's evolving in a different direction. It's worked with everything else that's done it. It's worked with World of Warcraft. It's worked with RuneScape. It's working currently with MapleStory. It's worked with every MMO that's done it. And I don't think MMOs are the only thing that can successfully do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I know for myself, a lot of times I find myself looking through bulk, like I'm just looking for a card, and I'm like, man, it sucks. Like, Giant Tomato will never be meta relevant ever again. Deep Prison will never be meta relevant ever again. You know, and it just really sucks that those cards will never be playable ever again. But with something like what you're talking about, that would be really cool. Like, it adds something new, but it's not something super crazy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Another thing too is going back to sort of what you talked about a little bit ago. Is you would pull a card in a pack and just throw it in your deck when we were kids, right? And play it. Now when my son opens a pack up, you get 9 different cards, but each card belongs to a different archetype. That too, well, you need this card to play it from the last set, or you need to put it in this deck. This card requires this monster to play. So now we can't play none of the cards you just pulled.
Yeah, there's not that many generic cards unless it's like a hand trap, like a Charmy or something.
Right.
Yeah, they've designed the game now where buying a pack is a farce. You have to buy a box.
Yep.
A box is a pack. You know what I mean? You can't just buy a pack.
Yeah, you're not going to pack the
whole
fiber
fucking
jar
box
and add it to your deck like I did. That's not a thing.
That's funny.
I wanted to pivot here. So I think we definitely have covered a lot of that topic, and that was really good. Unexpected, too. Justin, I'm looking at your room. I'm now focused on you. I've clicked on your picture, so now I only see you and your room. I see the background. It looks fucking amazing. So for people on Patreon watching the video of this.
Can't put the camera around, so... I got some giant cards. These are actually not giant cards or posters I got off Facebook.
Yeah, read out which ones they are for the people at home.
Yeah. So they are trying to get. I got like Stratos.
Yep.
Oh goodness, I can't aim this camera with the shit. DPE, Neo Sword's a new hero card. But they got on Facebook printing these off for me for like $50 a pop.
They look amazing.
Yeah, they
Are they cards? Like they're already because they're in frames, but are they actual cards?
No, so they are. It's poster material. I mean, it's paper, it's poster, but it's very high quality. Because like I'm not going to drop like that's giant card.
Right.
And then over here, I just got like these are old school EGX magazines. My local game store actually had them, like video game store.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
And then over here, I got like play mats.
That is awesome. Your man cave is so fucking cool. It's a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh. So Yu-Gi-Oh is a big part of your life and of your like, you being a nerd.
So actually, I'm a huge Dragon Ball fan too. And downstairs, I guess you guys have heard of the SH Figure Arts brand.
Yeah.
So I used to go to anime conventions all the time. Like I've met all the Dragon Ball voice actors that are relevant, got all their autographs, pictures, and I had every figure arts at one point. And it was, I'm trying not to, my wife would kill me. It's several thousand. And these figures got more expensive over time. And I'll send you guys a picture later, but probably I think it's like 130 figures. And when you value that each are like $40 minimum base, higher up, it's insane. And they were releasing like 3 figures a month at one point, and I'm like, I cannot financially keep up with this.
Yeah.
So I ended up selling that collection to a guy online for a really good price. But yeah, I got a huge Yu-Gi-Oh collection because like I grew up with the game, and that is one thing constant in my life that I've never stopped loving.
Yeah,
that's
like
awesome.
Obviously I love anime, but like I'll get in those like funks where like I just don't watch it for a month or two. I got a huge manga collection downstairs, like One Piece, Dragon Ball, and I got all that stuff and everything too. But Yu-Gi-Oh is one of those things that, like, even if I'm not playing the card game, I'm keeping up with it at some to some extent. Whether it's the show, whether it's like the friends that I met in the game, I'm still talking to them about it. So the goal is to have like a huge table with like one of those 4-player OTS mats.
Yep.
And just get some, because I recently found out there's like 4 or 5 people that live in my town that play Yu-Gi-Oh, just know where to play at. So my goal is to get them up here, just play some games, get them in the Edison format. Just have more people to take on trips with me in the future and stuff. So
that's a great idea.
One of the coolest things, and if I had more money, I'd do it. But I mean, Frazier basically already has this. But it's always been a cool idea to me that like, every like relevant deck of Edison, let's just say, just have built and ready to go, and then like people can come over and just like play the deck. Like you can just like play the card or whatever. Like, I really like Lightsworns and Blackwings. We can just play Lightsworn and Blackwings. Like we went to I think that's Sneak Peek, and we played Lightsworn versus
Amaryllis.
the fucking Amaryllis deck. I was gonna say Titano. Yeah, bitches in there. That wasn't fun, but it was fun. It was fun, but it wasn't fun.
You have to keep all of those in like a Kaiba Corp suitcase as well, like big silver suitcase.
Yep, they have that. I mean, they actually sell the Kaiba Corp suitcase, which I think is cool that they've marketed. Like Konami has been smart in the merchandising and stuff like that. But yeah, I think that collecting the memorabilia is really fun, especially for us, people who grew up with the game. Like when I was a kid, my dad would talk about Transformers and Voltron in a way that you could tell he grew up with it. I never revered it as as much as he did, even though I would watch the cartoons when they came on Cartoon Network. You know, it looked older than everything else. You could tell that like Voltron was older. You could tell Scooby-Doo was older. I still would watch it and I would enjoy it. But the way he would talk about it was like, oh man, Voltron when I was a kid, like that was the best thing ever.
And you know, growing up, like there was not as much anime merch back then as there is now. But like whenever there was something cool that you wanted to buy, like for me, like growing up, my family lived on fixed income, so I couldn't ask for that kind of stuff. So when I got my own job and got my own place and everything, like buying this stuff for me, it makes you feel good, right? Like you spend your money wisely, but it sort of fills that void that you had when you were little. Like I'm not going to ask grandma for a $30 action figure because grandma only makes so much money a month, right?
Right.
But growing up and you can buy it for yourself, like it keeps you feeling young inside. Like to me, like I think that's what I don't know. I don't want to feel like an adult. Like I know I have adult things to do. Like I have to be an adult.
Yeah.
And that's what my job is for. You know what I mean? I'm an adult 6 to 2 or 6 to 4, whatever it is. But when I get home and hang out with my family, I'm a kid at heart.
I love that.
I didn't have that growing up, man. Like I didn't have a dad. My stepdad passed away, so like I lived with my grandma for a good part of my life. So I want to I just want to be a kid for my kid to hang out with too. Like, be a dad when I have to. But like that's I want my kid to be like, dude, my dad's got an awesome room. My dad loves Dragon Ball. My dad loves Yo. You know, like my dad's got all this cool stuff. Like it's nice to still be a kid.
Yeah. Without realizing it, I've done that to my life. Like I never really put into words like you did so eloquently. So thank you for that. But I have subconsciously done the exact same thing you just said. I have compartmentalized my career, and that is a part of me, right? That 8 hours a day, I'm an accountant, right? Tomorrow, starting Monday through Friday, I will be doing accounting work. And I am fully, like, no one has ever seen me, none of the Yu-Gi-Oh players have ever seen me in that mode. Like, when I'm in that mode, it's like, I'm a completely different person. The way I talk, the way I handle myself, I'm writing emails and stuff like that. I'm on Zoom meetings, and like, it's a completely different side of myself. But then as soon as I clock out and turn my computer off, the work part of it anyway, and I get on camera with Kenny and we're doing Master and Disaster, or I get on camera to record the podcast, or I do any, like I turn on the stream at local or whatever I'm doing, I go back to like who I truly am, right? Like the kid side of myself, the person that loves gaming, that loves being a nerd, hence IMNerd. And like, that is who I truly am. Like, sure, there's a part of me that is an accountant and that has this career, but I don't want to lose that childlike part of myself, or whatever you want to call it. Like I don't want to fully have to embrace being an adult in the sense that I have to lose my childhood and lose gaming, lose Yu-Gi-Oh and all of those things, because those are a part of my soul. Like that is and when I gave up Yu-Gi-Oh for 5 years, there was a part of me that was like yearning for something. I was looking for, and I had this other group of friends that like to do other things, and I tried to do that, which was going out to the club, going out to bars, and like things that I never was really into, but I was trying to see if I could assimilate into that world. And after a while, I realized like, this just is not who I am. Like I'm trying to fit in a world that was never really mine, right? Like I didn't grow up, when I was 16, 17, I wasn't the kid on Friday nights who would go out and get drunk with a bunch of other kids and stuff like that and had a fake ID. That wasn't my idea of fun. My idea of fun on Friday night was invite my friends over and we would play Tekken, Smash Bros, Sonic. We take turns on Sonic and shit like that. Like that's what we did as a kid, and that was my Friday night. So when I came back to school on Monday in high school, people were like, "What'd you do over the weekend?" And people were like, "Oh, I got so fucked up, bro." And I'm just I'm just looking at them like I did none of that. Like I played Smash Bros. I played Melee until we fell asleep. That's what I did.
We were playing Melee, and then like somebody would have a computer, and it'd be like on E-Bombs World.
Yeah.
And for people that fucking remember E-Bombs World, like it was like, oh my god. Dude, it was so. I wanted to say real quick. And then Mike, you said you have a kid on the way, right?
Yep. In April,
you're going to be experiencing some of this too. I don't like Frazier said. I don't have a kid, but I do have a lot of younger siblings, and so I've done some stuff with them that's like having a kid. So I bet Justin can probably relate to this. But not only is it enjoyable to like buy that stuff for yourself, I remember like my brother Jaden. I got him into anime really young. One of the first anime he watched was Full Metal Alchemist. And he watched this when he was like 5 years old or something. And he didn't know the name of it or couldn't say the name of it. So the way he would refer to it is like, hey, I want to watch that anime. And I'd be like, hey, I'd be like, which one? He'd be like, the one with the two brothers and their mom dies. That's like how he would like say what he wants to watch. I want to watch the one with the two brothers and their mom dies. Okay. And then I put on FMA. But he's got into anime. He likes My Hero Academia. He likes Black Clover. He likes Demon Slayer. And so, for example, for Christmas one year, I think Christmas and his birthday, I got him like you were saying, the figure arts, a Deku, a Midoriya, or Midoriya and Deku's the same person. A Deku, a
Bakugo?
Todoroki,
Yep.
and a Bakugo. I got him like really nice fucking figure arts of those. Then one of the years when he was super into Demon Slayer, I got him Tanjiro's katana. Like he has the whole Tanjiro katana upstairs in his room, and it's like super cool to like buy that for him and him to be excited about it and think it's really cool and all that stuff, and not even buy it for myself. It's like this is his and he can display it on his wall or like do whatever he wants to do with it. It's really enjoyable.
I think
cool.
what's cool
I've never.
too is,
sorry, Justin. Do you want to go ahead? Or do you want me to go?
I wanted to touch up. Like my son actually cosplayed with me, so we actually go to conventions together. So we went as we both went as like different forms of Ichigo. One year,
Oh my god!
We went as Demon Slayer, and I got the pictures on my Facebook. And Frazier, you've actually
I saw
reacted to a couple of those. Yeah, he's big into. He isn't really watching anime, but he's just like he wants to carry around a sword all day. So
hell yeah!
So yeah, that's something we do too. And
I was gonna say like I've never really been into anime. Like I watched Naruto, which I feel like everyone's seen Naruto. It came on TV, and there was this one called Zatch Bell. You guys ever heard of that? Watched that? I was so obsessed with that. But I think the thing I'm the most excited to show my son, it's not an anime, but is Avatar. Last Airbender. I am so excited for him to watch that. Not the Netflix one though, the cartoon.
When you said Avatar, it could have went multiple ways. But you said the Last Airbender, and that makes you good with me. If you said Avatar, I'm sure you guys have heard me say how much I hate James Cameron. So if you went the other direction,
I always hated having to like specify. People are like, "Oh, you like Avatar?" I'm like, "Wait a minute, we talking like Airbenders or blue people? Like, which one are we talking about here?"
I hate that I have to do that because anybody who's a real person with a brain knows we're talking about the Last Airbender, but you never know if you're talking to a zombie.
It also came first. Like Avatar, the Last Airbender was first. I don't like how we have to specify that we're talking about the Last Airbender when that shit, the blue people came out after.
Yep. It's bullshit.
That's how you know we're getting old because Avatar was like 2006, 2007.
It was
the Last Airbender. Yeah. So like when people ask, like it's not unreal to you got to understand why they're asking that because they didn't watch that stuff when they were little. So and I think even the blue Avatar came out like
2012 or is it?
Yeah, so even that's getting old in terms of
I've never seen Blue People Avatar. I've never watched it.
I remember when it came out, I was so angry because like there was this influx of people, and I didn't realize at first what was happening because I didn't go see the movie. Like I wasn't excited for that movie. I didn't even know it was you know what I mean? Like that movie didn't matter. It wasn't on my radar.
Right.
And then there's an influx of people saying they love Avatar. And I would be like, oh shit. And I'd start a conversation with them. And then I'd quickly realize, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, what do you mean? And then eventually it's this movie. I eventually see it and I fall asleep like 17 times. And I don't know. It fucking sucks.
That is hilarious. But yeah, I was going to ask you guys too, in terms of the Edison Club brand and stuff, because I know you guys have been doing podcasting lately. You had an episode that just released recently with MBT. I'm going to check that out while I work. I always like listening to podcasts while I work. That episode came out a couple days ago. And for me, the best thing to get through my workday as an accountant is to just have something in my ear playing. So I'm going to listen to that probably Monday. But like, how has that been going? How have you guys been enjoying that whole thing and expanding your team, the Edison Club and stuff like that?
Okay. So the early days when it was still Dark Magical Gaming, I actually had the Dark Magical Gaming podcast, but it was really bad because we had like 6 people on every episode and it's just too much. Like there's no way anyone can ever like get any points across. So when I rebranded, I decided I wasn't going to do a podcast because it was too much trouble. I didn't really have consistent help to do it until Justin decided he wanted to be the co-host. And I was like, okay, let's do this thing. And the early days were rough. I had a lot of audio issues. A lot of times I'd record episodes.
You guys.
Yeah. I'd record episodes and get them done. And then there would be no audio, which thankfully that never happened with any guests. But I struggled a long time to get OBS to hear my desktop audio. So sometimes I would have to like put my microphone next to my MacBook speakers, which is so terrible. It's so bad. And eventually I just took a day. I'm like, I'm going to figure this out. It doesn't matter how long it takes, how many walkthroughs how many people I have to call, whatever. And I finally got it for the most part figured out. And
it'll always go wrong some way. Like it'll always find a way to fuck you over, but you got it figured out and you know what to do. My favorite story of that for us is when we recorded, I think it was like our 50th episode special. We recorded
3 hours and 30 minutes.
A 3 hour and 30 minute episode, and it's an unusable episode. There's just like this super loud background noise that we didn't realize was happening in the background, and the episode it's undoable. And then so we literally were like, okay, we just have to record it again. and like
Oh my
just
God.
completely
Oh, that's
re-recorded
terrible.
a 3.5-hour episode.
I
And it
thought
was
Kenny
just
was
like,
going to kill
all right.
me. I was so scared to even bring up the fact that like we have to re-record a 3 hour and 30 minute. And I'll give it to you, Kenny. You held it together so well.
Yeah.
When I was like,
I was like, that's what we got to do. Let's do it.
I spent like
Like-
2 hours researching how to separate the background noise from it, like how to get just me and Kenny's voice, remove the music out of it, because it was this loud ass music that I didn't realize. Basically, I was trying to be fancy. I wanted a moving background. You see how on OBS right now I have Kai's behind me?
Yeah.
Well, I had found a video that you could have behind you that's always moving, but I didn't know it came with music. So what's funny is that when we started the recording, OBS had, you know how you can see in your audio mixers, like your computer audio, your microphone audio, it had a third audio thing at the bottom. I didn't know how to use OBS at this time really, but it had a third thing, and the third thing was in the red zone. Like it was like peaking.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I didn't think that, when you record, that is sound that is happening while you're talking. It's something is so loud that it's fucking red, right? So we recorded for 3 hours, 30 minutes. That thing is red the entire time. I even said it to Kenny before we started recording. I was like, I don't know what this is, but whatever, like no big deal. We'll just record. And then when I went to go play it back, it was unplayable. And I was like, no, we just spent 3 hours, 30 minutes doing that. And so we didn't do it that night, but like the next day, we just did it again. And I was like, his energy's not going to be the same. We're going to be miserable. It's going to be awful. And we ended up recording a second time for 3 hours, 30 minutes with the same enthusiasm that we had the first time. And that's when I knew that I had chosen the right person to be my co-host, because I was like, a lot of people would have been like, fuck it, the 50th anniversary will just have to be a myth. Like it'll just have to be the episode that never happened, or it'll be like an hour episode because they don't feel like talking about the same thing for 3 hours, 30 minutes.
Look, man, at the end of the day, like sometimes it sucks, but it's like, there's been so many times, and you, Mike, Justin, you can tell me if you've come into this, but there's so many times when it's time for me and Frazier to record, and I'm just like not in the mood. Like something happened during the day, or it's just not been the right week, but I'm not in the mood to record, right? And it feels like shit. But once we start recording, we just fucking jive, I think, so well that it's like the time we're recording actually just not. It's just fun. Like it's not as bad as like before you're recording, you're like, fuck, I got it. I have to do this because it's something you have to do. But then once you're recording, you're just having fun. It's like, oh, cool. Because it's like, it's fun. I'm talking to one of my best friends. Why? There's nothing to be worried about. Let's just fucking talk and have fun. So
yeah. And sometimes doing stuff like that.
Anyway, I'm sorry.
Oh no, you're fine. Sometimes when I do have a bad day or something's off, and I'm kind of at the point where I'm like, let's just do the podcast a different day. We end up doing it anyway, and it actually ends up making the day even better. Lifting me up, like just me and Justin just rambling on about who knows what for an hour.
Yeah, I've had many days back when I used to stream 6 days a week. Just due to work and life and stuff, I just can't really do that anymore. But I used to stream 6 days a week, and when I was doing that, there were definitely days where I woke up and I was like, I do not want to stream today. I'm not in the mood. And then I would tell myself, if I'm doing this like a job, because I was making money streaming, I was like, if I'm doing this like a job and I'm treating this like my job, I can't just call out of work because I'm having a bad day. I have to show up. So I was like, I'm going to turn my stream on. I'm just going to do it, whatever. So I turn the stream on, and then like you just kind of get into it. Some days, of course, like they still won't really work out and they might be low energy. But most of the time, once you get the stream on or the podcast going and you get into it, you get into the groove of it, you end up just having a good time anyway.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we had started talking about like ghosts and stuff before we started recording. Frazier's chair just moved by itself. Don't know if you guys saw that. Yeah, it's just been like slowly, like it's still moving a little bit. So
when he gets back, I want to, because I don't want to miss out on that. I want to talk about the ghost. I want to see where that was going.
Okay,
I definitely want to.
I want to hear Justin's story too.
Yeah,
yeah.
I got quite a few good ones. So
we shared some. Once again, we'll wait for Frazier to return, but that's kind of how we stayed awake on the way back from Orlando. Because we drove back one night.
We can just keep talking.
That's how I kept Justin awake. As the driver, like the whole way back from Orlando, was just like creeping him out with all these ghost stories the whole way back.
That's awesome.
I had to drive an hour and a half back home by myself.
Oh yeah. I didn't think about the after effect. Where like I live out in the middle of nowhere. It's just woods. So like if Justin breaks down, it's over. Like there's no hope for Justin.
Dude, I feel like the woods in the South, like that's where every horror movie takes place, right? Like,
it really is.
The fucking woods in the South. Like it's like
it really is. They've even like filmed a lot of those movies here. Like Cabin Fever was filmed in North Carolina, in the woods of North Carolina. So it's a creepy place. Like don't go out there at night.
Yeah, I mean, where I'm from in PA, you wouldn't know because like I grew up in the city, but not that far from where I live are like the woods. Like there are some, obviously probably not as big and as deep as you might get in some other areas, but we have like some really big wooded areas randomly that you can just get lost in. And I remember going out and hanging out and running around in those things when I was younger and getting lost. And it's fucking scary when the sun starts going down and you don't know how to get back home and you're like, oh fuck.
Yeah, like you as an adult now, you look back and you're like, so many things could have just went wrong. Like if one thing went wrong, it would have just snowballed into like 100 other things going wrong. You just being out there.
Yeah, I think about that a lot, about how, in a way, I don't know how true this is for everybody, but everybody that makes it to be an adult, everybody that makes it to be 20, 30 years old is lucky to be alive. Because I just think about my own life. The amount of times I did something that I could have died for is fucking crazy when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Like, I did so many things I could have just died doing. And it's like, why the hell did I do that?
I think back to days like before I was 25, because like your brain doesn't fully finish developing until you're 25. And I'm like, I was such an idiot.
Yeah.
Like literally, what was I doing? Like, yeah, definitely lucky to be here. Most of us, honestly.
Yeah. Somehow me and Mike are doing the podcast. We both lost a partner. You know what I mean? I don't know. Frazier and Justin are gone. Oh, Justin's back. Okay.
We're just running on vibes at this point.
Yeah. We're chilling.
I had to go to the bathroom. I've been drinking like a gallon of water a day.
My man.
I thought I was going to lose weight, but all it makes me do is pee more.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, well, you have to space it out a little bit.
If you're eating the same, and let's say you used to drink soda all the time, if you're not drinking soda and only drinking water, you definitely have to have lost weight, right? Like,
I don't know if it's like where I feel like that I'm drinking nothing but water now that I can eat more, but it's like the only difference I've noticed is I gotta pee more. So like,
yeah, I don't know, because soda has so many fucking calories and is so bad for you. So if you completely cut out soda and just do water, and then you don't like uptick your eating habits, let's say your eating habits stay the same, you definitely should end up losing weight in that regard.
During COVID, I like lost all I got COVID twice and I lost all sense of taste for soda. So when after I guess COVID and everything, after I recovered from it, I still can't taste soda. All I taste is the seltzer part of it.
Wow.
So same thing with like carbonated beer for the most part.
Wow.
All I can like taste is like the seltzer part and it's just sour. So like I was like, that's good because I don't need soda in my life anyways. So that was like I think the trigger to just quit it. Because I'm not going to drink something I can't taste ultimately, but
yeah. What makes soda fun, or any of those things fun, is that like it tastes good, or whichever one that you like.
Or it tastes good with pizza and stuff like that. Yeah.
Dude, I don't like soda, but something about eating a pepperoni pizza makes me want a Coke.
Yep.
Like I don't like Coca-Cola. I don't. But there's something. It must have been fucking god tier Pizza Hut marketing or something when I was 10. I don't know what it is, but something about a pepperoni pizza makes me go, man, I could go for a Coca-Cola.
I mean, I also think that there's a bit of the Pavlov's dog thing happening there too, because when we were kids, everyone who ordered a pizza will order like a 2-liter with it, or several 2 liters.
True.
And so
you're like conditioned to like it.
Exactly. You get conditioned to associate pizza with a Coke, right? And that's kind of like I associate McDonald's with Sprite. I just do. Because when I was a kid, when we would go get a Happy Meal, I would always get a Sprite. And so every time I think about eating McDonald's, I'm like, well, I have to have a Sprite with it, even though, I'm not kidding.
I associate McDonald's with drinking every soda in one cup. That's what I associate. I would bring my cup up and go, get a little bit of all of them.
Yeah.
And that's what I associate McDonald's with.
So, Frazier, while you were gone, we noticed that your chair started to just spin by itself. So I thought this was a good time to transition to Justin's ghost stories.
Yes, because he was saying some creepy shit before the podcast started. Like genuinely creepy.
Turn your lights on, pull your blinds, everything.
First off, like, do you, Kitty and Frazier, do you guys believe in ghosts?
So I have a couple potential ghost stories that I experienced myself. Overall, as like my own personal logical thinker, I don't believe in ghosts.
That's how I want to go too. I think I want to say that as well.
I don't believe in ghosts. However, I also respect the fact that even though based on everything I know in life, I don't think ghosts are real, and I don't think any of that stuff's real. Any afterlife stuff, I don't think any of that's real. But I also respect the fact that I also don't know everything, and there could be things that I don't know or understand. So like it could be real. There could be something. And I've experienced like really weird paranormal stuff myself. The way I rationalize it is I just don't understand what happened. just because I don't understand it doesn't mean it's a ghost. It could just be something that I don't understand, and it could have an explanation that I'm not smart enough to know, or smart enough to know at that time. Maybe I missed something. But all that being said, ghosts could exist. I have no way to disprove them. But I do know that none of those ghost hunter shows are real. They're just fucking.
Well, yes.
They're just like guys walking around and like, oh. One of the funniest jokes I ever heard was like, it was about ghost hunters and people hunting for Bigfoot, and they were just talking about how the only thing you find when you look for Bigfoot is white guys. Like you just find white guys. Like there's not like a black guy out there looking for Bigfoot. You know what I mean? It's just you just find white guys. But anyway, all that to say is, no, I don't believe in ghosts, but I leave it up to the possibility that I don't know everything and they could be real. I've experienced weird stuff myself, and I'm not smart enough to explain it all. I don't think it's ghost, but hey, it could be.
Yeah, so I really started like, I won't say seeing stuff, but like things started happening to me back. I was dating this girl before I got with my wife, and I lived in this house. I was renting it out, and I was at work, and I was a shift manager at a grocery store. And she stayed the night, and she called me crying to me, asking me if like what I was doing in the bedroom, knocking stuff down. I said, "What are you talking about?" And she goes, "I looked over, and you were in the closet." And I thought it was you in the closet, and you were just like knocking stuff off the shelf. Do what?
My whole skin just crawled.
Yeah. So I'm like, no, I've been at work. So she was freaking out. Well, like this girl I thought was like absolutely fucking nuts. I didn't believe anything she's like. I'm like, all right, you know. So I got with my wife who was staying with me at the time, and I never told her this story.
Same house.
So same house, same bedroom. And I never told her this story, right? And I'm sitting at work, and she calls me. She's crying, and she said, "I thought I saw you in the closet, and there was somebody knocking stuff off the shelf." And I'm like, "Oh my god, like this
crazy!
This is two different women.
No, that's
same
absurd.
house, the same." So I was like, "Hey, listen, you're the first person to tell me that." So we ended up moving out. My buddy took over the rent, moved in, and I was cleaning out my closet. And in the back of the closet was a handprint, like it had stained the back wall. And up on the top shelf, above where the top shelf is like a little, I guess, a way to get into the attic. There's not like a ladder or anything, but you can like pop open a piece in the ceiling and like crawl into the attic. So I was like, I'm not going to go up there. I don't care what's up there.
Literally
so my buddy
don't care.
lives in that house. My buddy still lives in the house with his wife and 3 kids.
If you tell me there's a body up there, I'm losing my shit.
but he did go in that closet, and he did find a picture of a woman like on top of a car. And he asked the landlord, like, "Hey, is this like somebody that you know?" And they're like, "No, we've never seen that woman before." So I just thought it was really creepy. And then me and my wife moved into a farmhouse that her grandfather owned, and he was renting it out to us.
This story is fucking crazy. Yeah. This story is unreal.
That like this dark figure was like, "We're coming to get your son when he turns 18." And when I tell you that she has not forgotten that dream, I think that she worries about the day that he turns 18.
Because that's like Rumpelstiltskin.
So the farmhouse we lived in right down the road. There was a little boy that died. They found him in the sewer, wrapped up in saran wrap, and this was like all over the news a few years ago. Probably like 2015. Yeah. Very, very sad story. Turned out like neglecting his parents and stuff like that. But this happened like probably 4 houses down the road. And so I would have dreams that like my son, I would wake up and find him drowning, whether it be like in a box, whether it be in a tub or anything like that. And then my wife had that dream on top of it. Well, she was in the living room one day, and she saw a man in a black hat and a black robe just walking in the kitchen. And she got this really bad feeling about it. And I was just like, okay, well, you know, let's try to get out of here. And then my buddy came over one time, and we might have been playing cards. I don't remember what we were doing. But he was leaving, and he's like, dude, he called me. He's like, man, this is going to sound nuts, but there's a man in a black cloak and a black top hat, like at your front door on your porch. And I was like,
crazy.
Okay. I was like, this is going to sound crazy, but let's have seen this guy too. So then fast forward, we move out of the house. I'm working, and I just hired this operator, and he lived close by. Well, he lived in Dublin, which is the town that farmhouse is in. And he was talking about how he lived on the road I lived on. I'm like, dude, did you ever see anything creepy? And he's like, well, not necessarily, but several decades ago, this house burnt down, and there's like rumors of a man that will walk around looking for his wife that passed away in the fire. And so I just always like things like that I think about.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
My brain
And
right
then
now is just like spiraling.
The thing that the creepiest thing for me, and this is where I'll finish at, is my stepdad had just passed away. I was very close with him. He was like a father to me. And my mother and I ended up moving in with his sister, my step aunt, and we lived in the house that my stepfather grew up in. And his like mom had passed away there. His father had passed away there. And I get off the bus, and there's like nobody there. And my mom had a bathroom in her bedroom, and I like to use that bathroom as opposed to the main one. I don't remember the reason, But I go into the master bedroom and I close the bathroom door, but I leave the bedroom door open. And next thing I know, like I'm going to get out of the bathroom and the door doesn't have a lock on the bathroom door, but it's jammed shut. I can't open it. It doesn't make any sense. There's not like a doorknob there or anything. So when I get it open, the bedroom door slams shut. And my mom has these rails just across the top of the bed. I guess you can hang like curtains or whatever from it. And all the coat hangers on that rail just start getting like slammed off, getting thrown against the wall. And I started crying. And I'm like 14 years old and I'm like in tears. And I run to the neighbor's house, which is my step aunt. And I'm just like freaking out, dude. Like, when's mom coming home? Like, I am just, it freaked me out, dude. So I'm not too bothered anymore by that kind of stuff. Like, I've never been hurt or anything like that. But that one house, the farmhouse, where like the Black Fear was, where I had all the bad dreams and stuff at, my wife had the bad dreams. I will never go back there again.
Dude, that's interesting. It's weird.
The South is different. That's what I think. I think
So,
there's a lot.
we were talking about the woods of the South while you were gone.
Yeah.
So I have 3 like ghost stories, I guess. And once again, I don't know what it could be, but one is one time I had a friend that I was, I don't know, let's say 14 years old, 13, 12, something along that age group. And I was in my room and a friend was spending the night over my house. We were hanging out, just like playing games, and my door was shut. And then there was this super loud banging that we heard, like from downstairs or whatever, just like a really loud banging. We're like, what the fuck is that? And then we heard it again. So we like went downstairs and like looked around and like no one was there. There was no one around. It was like 10 or 11 o'clock at night. And we're like, what the fuck? And like walk around the house. And then we go back up in my room, close the door. And then we heard the banging on my door, like my door itself. There was a super loud banging, boom, 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 like somebody's banging on the door. And we like, get scared and we like look at it and we're like, who is it? Like, whatever. I don't remember exactly what we said, but like, who's there? No one answers. We wait like a minute and we like open the door really slowly and like no one's standing there. So we close the door again. We kind of just like sit there and then like, I don't know, like time passes. I don't know how long, if it was 10 minutes, an hour. I don't remember. I was young. And we like kind of just go back to playing our game. And then it happens again. There's this super loud banging on the door. We don't say anything. It happens again. And then the next time there's super loud banging, I run and open the door as the banging's happening and there's nothing there. Like I just open the door and there's just like nothing there at all.
It's time to call the Winchester brothers on that one.
So I fucking love Supernatural.
Me too.
But we were freaked the fuck out, like super scared, whatever, like assumed it was some kind of haunted or ghost or whatever. I don't know what it is. At the time, obviously, I thought like 100% it was a ghost. As I got older, my stance on it is just like, I don't know what happened. I don't know if I don't remember this correctly, if I have no idea what happened, but that's how I remember it. At one point, there's a huge banging on the door. I open the door as there's banging and there's literally nothing there. The other story was like same house. We were up in my room. Same friend actually was over and we heard a piano playing. There was like this piano and none of my neighbors have a piano. But we heard like this piano playing, like it just sounded like this weird piano. And then so like I go and like I follow the sound and it goes all the way down into my basement.
Screw that.
And so I go down into the basement. As I'm going down the stairs, I hear the piano getting louder. But then when I get into the basement, I don't hear the piano at all. It's just like gone. And then so I'm looking around my basement and I don't see anything. I can't find anything. I go back upstairs and I start to hear the piano again. But I hear the piano coming from my basement. Like that's where the sound is coming from. But then when I go down the basement, the piano disappears and the sound is gone. So it gets louder as I go toward it. And then like where it should be the loudest, where like the sound is coming from, the sound's gone. I don't hear the piano at all. And I remember being super freaked out at that. Like just, I have no fucking explanation for what that was. And then the final thing is that at one point in time, I think I was like 16 and I grew up like Christian or Catholic or whatever. But by the time I became a teenager, I didn't really believe in God anymore. And I still don't. But I was going through this phase of like, I want God to be real. I don't want to die. I want there to be something to happen. And so I was going through this phase of like asking God to like just show me some kind of proof that he's real. And then I don't really remember what happened, but I had like a dream and the dream was just like pitch black and I just saw like an orange light. And I feel like I remember like someone talking to me and telling me that like they're real, but like it could have just been a weird dream. I don't fucking know.
Yeah,
But,
we plays 3 of them.
those are, say that again?
I said orange lights are very real. Boyd plays 3 of them.
I was about to say, I feel like this is like an IMNerd record for like most discussed topics throughout one podcast episode, because we've talked about like Yu-Gi-Oh history, exercise, like ghost stories now.
We didn't even
Children.
answer his last question either. Like
I was about to say we need to circle back to Frazier's initial question about like
What was
adding
that?
people to the team.
Yes.
So we,
Yes.
Listen, that's the IMNerd podcast. Is a conversation
it.
gets started, and then you have a 4-hour conversation. Then you get to the end, you go, "Oh yeah, I did ask that 4 hours ago."
my favorite episode that you guys have done is the one with Nazar Sarhan, because it's just so unhinged.
It is.
But it's like an hour and a half into the episode, and Kenny's like, we never got an answer to the very first question that was asked in this episode. But right before Frazier left, you were talking about you recorded the 3.5 hour long episode, and it just had like this ambient music the entire time.
Yeah.
I recorded a video with Eric Shin, and it was the one where we were just playing on Dueling Book, and I did an audio check before we started. And I guess something happened that when I was listening to him talk, I just turned up the volume in my headphones, but it also did it to his audio in OBS. So after everything was done and I went back to listen to it, his audio was on like 700%.
Oh my God.
So every time he would say something, it was just crackling.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I was like, the things that happened in this video cannot be replicated, because if you haven't seen it and you're listening to this, go watch the training sessions episode 1 with Eric Shin, because we lose to like Divine Dragon, Ragnarok, Snipe Hunter. Like, so what I had to do was I had to go through that whole episode, and every time he said something, I had to manually turn the audio all the way down.
Right.
It took me 6 hours to edit that one
Oh my God.
thing,
I
but it could not be replicated. So I just did what I had to do, and I think it turned out okay for what it was.
similar story. We've had audio issues, you know. We've been there.
Yes, we have.
Part of it.
One of our most hated but also most loved episodes of Master and Disaster is like, I lose my audio. I lose the audio. It's a Lightsworn episode, and my audio gets corrupted. And then it's this whole fucking episode, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't want to ask Frazier. I have to re-record it, because, like you said, the way me and Frazier re-recorded that podcast, at the end of the day, it's just me and Frazier talking. We can talk about the topics again. It's not going to be exactly the same, but we can get excited. We talked about fucking Naruto versus Pain 300 times in our life.
Right.
So, like, we can talk about the topic again. You can't recreate a duel. So if we record another Lightsworn episode, which we eventually did, it'll never be the same as the first one.
Right.
So I was like, I don't know what to do. So I just did the dumbest thing I could do, and I fucking dubbed the episode, but I dubbed it in the stupidest way. I was like pretending to be Raditz from DBZ, and I was pretending to be Cecil the Turtle from the Looney Tunes. Like, I was just doing the stupidest shit. I was Winnie the Pooh at one point, just dubbing this episode. It's so dumb. And the comments were split like 50-50 of some people saying, this is so stupid, this didn't land, never do this again, I hate this, like, this was so hard to watch.
That video.
And then there was other comments that were like, this is fucking amazing, when's Raditz going to come back, like, what happened, like, why is the turtle locked in the basement, like
that reminds me of when me and Boyd commentated like the cast tournaments at BB&G. And like once you're like 4 hours deep into commentating and like you're just watching the same decks play each
We
other,
were so slap happy. Like, we just started saying things just for like the shock factor of getting people to join in and start watching.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was like the Jim Ross of like, I don't know if you guys watch wrestling, but
I love Jim Ross. I love wrestling.
And bro, I'm like, my God, Dark Arm Dragon. You know, like, people in the comments.
Oh, God, that
And
dragon
it
is
worked.
broken in half.
People were joining to listen to that too. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
I guess, Justin, we can kind of like quickly touch on like the expansion that happened with the club, because it started off as me, Justin, Cole, and Austin Wood. We were like the 4 initial.
Mm-hmm.
And with everything like that, you know, you always try to look to expand. So we add some new members. And then there was this guy that always commented on my YouTube videos, and I end up talking with him. He adds me on Facebook, and one day I go to locals and he's just there. And I'm like, I didn't know you lived like anywhere nearby. And that was Chris Lee, who is now on the team. He won the giant card at Orlando on day 2.
Yep.
And super cool guy. He also topped YCS Richmond with me a couple years ago. And from there, you know, we kind of added somebody here and there. But one of the best ads that we've actually had to the team was Enraged Peacock. We added him after he topped nationals last year. And you talk about somebody that is like just so team oriented.
Yeah.
That like wants to see everything grow, wants to get people on the channel. Like I'd reached out to people like Simo and MBT Engage, and like they didn't even see my messages, but Enrage will just like go yap in like their chat sessions on their live streams and stuff. So I have to give him a lot of credit for getting these people on.
Enrage Peacock is a homie. Like shout out to him.
Yeah.
He found our channel however he found it, and then immediately became like a big fan. And then it's more than just like being a fan. He was like a homie. Like he'd have our back. He'd talk about shit. He set stuff up. Like some of the funniest things on our Patreon when we read the names at the end. Like one day he contacts like 50 people on our Patreon and gets them all to like join in on this inside joke. And we had no idea this was going to happen.
The Mike and John thing, that shit was crazy.
Yeah, dude. And Raised Peacock he sets up some. He's an awesome dude. He's a cool dude. He does want to see his friends and the people that he likes succeed. He wants to help them out. He wants to be there for them. He's all around a really good dude.
Me and him share that same like sentiment, because I'm all about like trying to help people grow, you know, especially from like the YouTube perspective, because it's so not user friendly when you're first starting out. There's so much you don't know. I even remember there was like this small stretch of time where I had more subscribers than you guys. So I was like constantly giving like shout outs and like go subscribe to these people. And you guys just like zoomed past me. You're at like well over 7,000 now. And I'm just so happy to see like that progression.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a journey. I do remember you shouting us out even when your channel was bigger. I feel like one of the things that I've noticed about some of the more gatekeepy channels or gatekeepy people in the community is that like, I don't know, some people who are bigger, they don't want other people to grow. Without naming any names, but I just noticed the energy is like they do not usually want to give shout outs to people who they might see as competition. They don't want other people to come up, and that's so unfortunate because I think that there is space for all of us. I tell everyone, I encourage them, if you are thinking about doing content creation, just know it is hard. You have to be consistent, but I want you to try it, to do it. If you really feel like it's something that you want to do, stick with it for a while. Don't just give up as soon as it gets hard. It is going to be hard. It is not easy.
That's what I love about Team Sam is that people give him shit for like his videos, like his clickbait and stuff, but this dude will drop like deck list and then he'll like link a channel that has like 1,000 subscribers below that. And
is that Team Samurai? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, Team Samurai. This is like, what did I say? 6 Sam?
You said Team Sam, and in my head I was trying to figure out. I was like, at first I was thinking Edison. I was like, I don't know a Team Sam, and then I remember I have seen videos from, I think it's Team Samurai X, I think is what they're called. Yeah, and I figured that's what you were talking about. I just wanted to clarify. Like link
to smaller channels, and I just don't see a point in gatekeeping because like you're not going to lose that person as a viewer either, right?
Right.
No.
Like, and at the end of the day, like we're trying to keep a format alive. We're trying to grow a format. Not saying that needs to be kept alive, but we're trying to grow a format together. And I just don't see like why people, I don't want you subscribing to them or playing to this tournament or doing this or that. Because at the end of the day, like we're all in this together. Like we're all enjoying the same thing.
Yeah.
And people just want more content. Like they're not going to stop following you, you know?
No. If you're making content they want to see, they're not going to stop following you just because they also found somebody else that makes content. Something I heard a long time ago. I don't remember where the fuck I heard it from. I think it just might be like a thing that everybody's heard, but I don't know. But anyway, it's a rising tide like raises all ships. If a Edison YouTube channel does well, more will do well. There won't be one Edison YouTube channel. There will never be one YouTube channel on any topic. If you really like Final Fantasy, there's a million Final Fantasy YouTube channels, and you could probably make one too. It's going to be hard to break in because it's a saturated market, but you could probably make one too. And the more of it there are, the more like all of them do well. Like there's people that are in Edison format right now because they saw the ribbit. They saw like ribbits, right? They saw Keegan. There's probably people in Edison format right now because they saw maybe they're a fan of like James Ark from something else. I don't know. You know what I mean? But whatever it may be. Maybe Edison Club or IMNerd. There's people that get into Edison format. So if you got in through IMNerd, which I think Enraged Peacock, for example, I think he said he randomly found one of our videos, and that's what got him in the Edison format. From there, he ends up becoming a big fan of the Edison Club and then even joining the Edison Club.
Yep.
So it's like he comes in through IMNerd, and then I could be like, oh my God, you guys stole my viewer. You know what I mean? Like, that's not how it works. He still watches
It's not a zero-sum game.
Yeah, like, it's just like everybody helps each other. Like, we all work together.
Exactly. There's only an Edison Club podcast because I was so inspired by you guys' podcast. That's what inspired me to start my own.
and like not to kiss ass because we're guests or anything, but you guys have like some of the best content as far as podcast goes. There's a lot of podcasts it's hard to follow along because like there's just no, and I mean like there's just like no structure. There's a whole bunch of like breaks and talking. Like there's just like not any in it. Like it's somebody be quiet.
It's not Frazier and Kenny. You know, it's not Frazier and Kenny. It's not the same.
That's what I love about this too. It's not like monotone. Question 1, question 2, question 3.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You can talk about anything and everything. And I got about a 40-minute drive to work, so I pop you guys on. Usually get through half an episode.
I appreciate it so much.
Then I'll do my morning reports and I listen to like I finish it up on the way home. You guys pretty much give free coaching, especially in the Yu-Gi-Oh talks. Free coaching. And I think listening to that has helped me become a better player too. And advanced format, like you got to buy a spreadsheet, you got to pay $60 for an hour, or whatever it is.
So much now with the coaching stuff and the spreadsheets.
You can literally get on your podcast and you get free coaching from like.
There's a lot of free games.
Absolutely.
We have fucking triple time YCS winners on the podcast, like
5-time YCS winners
format for modern.
Yeah, I would not be where I am in Edison without like you guys' content, and it wouldn't even be close. Like even back in the day when Frazier would write articles for ARG, I would read all of those, like especially the ones about Sylvans, because I always loved Sylvans way back then. The Sylvan Learning Center, and I hate that those are gone now too. I'm sure there's someone out there with a flash drive that has all of them, but yeah, it was always like the resources are there, especially with like what you guys put out to like improve at Edison. You just have to like reach up and take the fruit.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys saying that because, you know, we get all types of comments and stuff on our YouTube channel, as I'm sure you guys do as well. But it is nice to hear it from the community that like we are making an impact, because sometimes, at least for me, I get so caught up in the details. One of the reasons why I do think that our show is good is because we care a lot, for one. I mentioned this yesterday on the stream that we put effort into the quality too. Like,
absolutely,
I got the equipment that I needed, and I took days out of my life to literally go on YouTube, figure out how to make my audio better, how to make my visual better, how to like set up a stream that looks, you know, something that people want to watch, right? I'm studying these things. I'm looking at Mr. Beast videos of how to make a thumbnail interesting and all this other bullshit. I
do that too.
Things that like, you know, when I first got into it, my thumbnails were terrible, right? And when I started making Yu-Gi-Oh content, it would just be like a bestiary on the left and a Shura on the right, and it would just say Black Wings versus GBs. And I thought that I was a genius. I was like, look at me just fucking, I'm so smart. I've made the best thumbnail. I got the best content. It was just a dueling book thing. And then I realized if you want people to really tune into this shit, if you want people to actually tell their friends about it and actually get something out of it, you have to put in the extra step, the extra mile of work. And that is what a lot of people are not willing to do. So while I encourage
your thumbnail game is like insane.
Thank you. That came from Stango, was like the person who really pushed me to make better thumbnails. And also 10-Foot. 10-Foot gave me like, I don't talk to him often, but every time I've talked to him, he's dropped like little weird nuggets on content creation. It's crazy because that guy has a brain designed for content creation. And it's just unfortunate that he doesn't use it as often as we wish, because he is the best out of all of the Edison people and probably all of the Yu-Gi-Oh people, honestly. I think that 10-Foot's editing and just ability to tell a story and be very funny and also captivate you, I think he's the best. I think he's tier 0, but like
the Yu-Gi-Oh poker video, it has like 65,000 views or something crazy on it.
Yeah. On a channel with like 1,000 subscribers, bro. Like he's insane.
He has to make a video more than once a year.
Yes.
You know?
That's what, like, he's going to make a video in 2025. He's going to win a video of the year again on my award show. And like, you know, I just wish that he put out at least one video every month. He would be so much bigger. But I learned, because he'll tell me things after we get done recording. We'll talk for like 20 minutes after. And he'll just give me like little, like sprinkle just little things. I'm like, oh, I never thought about that. Or, oh, that's a way to like use this technique here or do this or whatever. Everybody can learn from everyone. Like I learned from you guys have learned from us, and it's a big circle of everyone just kind of like giving something to the community, and we all get something from it, and it keeps on growing and getting bigger. It's nice. It's really nice to be appreciated and also like be able to share the platform with you guys, right? Like I do not look at you guys as like, oh, we're in competition with them. They have a podcast, so now we have to like shit on their podcast or tell people they're not
like,
good or something.
We're too old for that shit, man. Like,
exactly. Like, bro, I'm in my 30s. I don't have time for the drama. I don't have time for the petty games. I'm not malicious like that.
Listen, if you guys pop off and you guys get 1 million subs before me, that's what I want. Because then I get to fucking be like, yo, Edison Club, hook me up with a shout out. You know what I mean? I got 1 million subs. You know what I mean? But it really is true that like if instead of alienating yourself from the other community and making the community your enemy, making the community your competition, if you instead view it as like, this is my community and we all work together, you end up becoming friends. And then like, if one of you do well, you can help the rest of them do well. You know what I mean? Like,
collaboration
and everybody
is a
just
big
helps
deal.
each other.
Collaboration helps growth. It really does. People, you guys have fans that really love the Edison Club. We have fans that really love IMNerd. And by us doing like cross-platform ideas like this and collaborating with each other, that brings the fan bases together. Then word of mouth happens, and they spread out, and then both of us gain from that type of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's no negative. No one's going to be like, you know what? I was a really big fan of the Edison Club, but IMNerd has a black guy, so I'm going over there. Like, I'm not watching the Edison Club ever again. Like, that's not going to happen.
We got a black guy.
Yeah, they got Ty Payne.
True.
It's just so funny, though.
We did, didn't we do a podcast with Ty Payne? We did, right?
Yeah, so we
you guys did.
And Ty do one. It's not as consistent.
Was that you and Ty, Justin?
It is, yeah. It is.
I don't remember. So wait, we did. I talked to you before.
Bro,
I don't even remember that.
And we had
Ty's audio.
I didn't realize you were the same person.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, Ty's audio was bad that time. I remember that.
Yeah. But we do. But this is like the OG and everything. But I do enjoy talking with Ty. There's just so many people in the Edison Club that it is hard to fit everybody in on one podcast, like Boyd mentioned earlier.
It would be
And
impossible.
Talking points that Ty plays a little bit of an advanced format too. So me and Ty a little bit like sort of focus on that kind of stuff when we do our pod. But when it's the Edison Club, we focus on Edison format. But we're like the NWO. I know you know what that is.
Yeah.
I love wrestling. I think when we did that podcast, I don't think you used the camera because I didn't put two and two together that I'm talking to the same person.
I didn't.
And if I saw your face, I would have remembered. But we do.
And the tattoos. You would have definitely.
And the tattoos, I would have remembered. But I remember now, and if I remember correctly, we did have an interesting conversation. There was just a lot of audio issues.
Yeah,
the conversation
we
itself
came
was
on
good, just
your podcast, right? Is that what it was?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
And then you were also in the episode that me and Boyd were co-hosting. I think a couple years ago, Frazier.
Yeah, it's been a few
you were
years
on
ago.
Edison Club at one point.
Yeah, I was. Yep, as just by myself. I remember that. Yeah.
But really, like me and Boyd talked about this too. Like Yugioh is just not a team sport. Like it's not a team game.
Yeah.
Like you go to 3v3s, you're playing an individual game. At the end of the day,
even
right?
when you're on a team, you're not really on a team.
So what more so we look at our team as just like a group of friends that want to do well in the game and just be in each other's company.
Yeah, that's what.
So
I'm glad you said that.
Course, we don't just let anybody on the team, but obviously, but we do want to let competent players on the team. But at the end of the day, like we're going to let people on the team that we're close to, that we have common interests with, and people that we get along with. Are like, hey, can you pick me up for this event? Yeah, no problem. Like those kind of people. And North Carolina is just a hotbed for Edison format. At least it was a couple years ago, because you had like Hydro Pump, you had Cameron Saunders, you had like a really good Edison community within North Carolina.
Yeah.
And you went to a BBG tournament. You went through the gauntlet. You had so many good players at BBG.
Yep.
That's what makes a Yu-Gi-Oh team a team. It's not that, because it's not a team sport, like you said. It's not the game itself, but it's everything outside the game. It's the being the friends, having each other's back. Oh, I need a ride here. Oh, I got you. Blah blah blah.
I need
we're
this
gonna ride
card.
together.
I don't have it.
Team's gonna. I need this card. I don't have it. Or testing partners, having a consistent testing people to test with, play with. Hey, relying on somebody to be like, you're like doing this wrong. Like this is a really bad play. I don't know why you keep doing this.
Yep.
And then
That's
you
me.
trusting like, yeah, that is. But like stuff like that, like that's what makes having a team really cool.
I will say this. I want to speak to this topic a little bit, just real quick, and we can start to wrap up. And I know it's been well over 2 hours. I'm glad that this has been a long episode.
Yeah, there's one more thing I wanted to say about the members of the Edison Club.
Go ahead.
So you can say your.
Oh, do you want me to go first, or do you want?
I'll just say it real quick. It's not long. Speaking of how many members are in the Edison Club, this podcast at first apparently. I don't know what happened, but there was like 5 people that were going to be on it. It was like there was a lot going on in that group chat, and then it was like there was like a ton of people, and then it got narrowed down to the 2 that created the Edison Club. But it was just funny because at one point Frazier was like, "Yeah, you're him." He was like, "I don't want to disclude anybody. Anybody can be on it." And then it was like, "But we kind of have too many people. Like this is a little out of hand."
Because I didn't want to be like an asshole and be like, "Yo, I think it's too much," but I was like, I also think it's too much. Because
no, I was saying that to Justin. I was like, if we get more than like 3, with like the 3 of us, with Frazier and with Kenny, it's going to make it very difficult. Because I learned like the early days of podcasting, it's just too much.
Yeah, I didn't want to offend anyone, but I was like, I don't think it's a good idea to do more than 4 people in one podcast. It's just going to be so fucking chaotic. One person might not talk at all because they're just some people are shy about that type of thing, like interjecting. So I'm glad that we did that. But what I was going to say about the team thing, the self-awareness that Justin has when he said it's not a team sport. At the end of the day, we're not like everyone wants to do well on their own, right? And then the team feels great because you represent the team when you do well. But it is still that individual doing it every single time. And that reminds me of my days on ARG and like other teams that I've been on. I've been on ARG, I've been on PPG. And like, yes, when people look at those teams, they're like Billy Brigg, Frazier Smith, Jeff Jones, like all Cordero, who was at the time like one of the best broadcasters in the space, like one of the best YouTubers, right? Our team was stacked as fuck, but we weren't like a team in the sense that like, oh, you know, we collaborate a bunch and we do everything in-house. It was like a group of people with a common interest that are all really, really good at the game, representing a brand that is like bigger than all of us individually. And not like a team, like, you know, on a football team or basketball team, it's really a team sport. I need Jeff Jones to do well for me to do well. It's not like that, right? Like if Jeff does well, congrats, Jeff tops. If I do well, congrats, Frazier tops. If Billy does well, vice versa, you know, that whole thing. But at the end of the day, what makes it like a real team is you guys hang out with each other, you discuss ideas, you test with each other, you let each other borrow cards, you stay with each other when you travel to events, you plan out things together, you go out to the most important part, you eat together at events, stuff like that. That's what makes you a team. That's the real heart of a team. I don't want to join any more like teams where I don't really feel like we're actually a team. I like being on, like one of the reasons why I love the house so much is because Gary, Sushant, Cairo, a true hero, Kenny, like our friend Medina, all of us, everyone in that group, we grew up around each other to an extent. Like we met each other at some point over 10, all of us are, our relationships are all over 10 years old now. So we've known each other for over a decade and we have common interests in being just nerds and stuff like that. And we talk to each other and we can be very blunt with each other, right? Like I feel like if I don't really know you and you're on my team because you got added by the guy who owns the team, let's say, like I don't really fucking know you like that. So I might not even be willing to talk to you like that. I don't want to share my ideas with you and stuff like that. It just gets weird. So I like nowadays, I feel like now that we're older, we're in our 30s, people are just like, I'm only going to be on a team with people that I actually like. You know what I mean? The Chicago people, also, Eric and them, they're all a team because they're actually going to the same place. They eat together, they drink together, they have weddings and stuff like that. They are actually a family, just like the house is a family.
Yeah. And like with the team thing too, it's like, I want to be on a team with people that I can be transparent with. Like if I look at your deck list and you have like 3 Spine Gilmans in your deck, I'm gonna be like, take those out. You do not need 3 Spine Gilmans. Take them out. You're being an idiot, you know, like, and then them not just like nosedive off a cliff, leave the group chat. You know what I'm saying? Like, even in friendship, just being transparent with each other is really important.
But what if I draw Spine Gilman and I don't have a Spine Gilman to search? That's why I need 3.
Right, what if your opening hand is 3 Gilman, 3 Diva?
Oh, God.
Well, what's the chances that's going to happen? You know,
not 0.
We appreciate you guys for doing this too. Like it has been, I can't believe how many years it's been now that it's 2025. You guys, I keep staring at this image that says established 2021. And that is already 4 years ago now.
Oh, I don't like that at all.
Crazy. Time is passing by so fast. But I think that it's passing by so fast because we're honestly having a lot of fun doing all of this stuff, like creating this content, growing our channels, growing our brands, and all of that. It's been great. Yeah, it's been honestly great.
Yeah, most definitely.
All right. Well, with that being said, I'm going to quickly give a shout out to the people on our Patreon at the party member or higher tier because we have quite a couple. Let's see, how many are there? Yeah, 63 people. So without further ado, give a shout out to Stole My Pokemon from Tupac to Duel Kenny, Leon, Quest, Xavier, This Ain't God, This Is Stanley Earl, The Sultan of Slot, Dom, Dragon Ruler of the Side Events, Gabe Marini, Andre Reynolds, First to Home, Big Man Blastoise, Vincenzo, Dallas Bailey, KJ, Fair Bear Flash, Sarah Maria, Alex Ahern, FT Kampa, Kyle Batelho, Gores in My Prison Pocket, Sugal, Vicky Venomon, Elijah Barfall, Tyler Tadeo, Volvita Mega Monarch, Keep My Eric's Name Out Your Fucking Mouth. That's Enraged Peacock.
I knew before you even said that.
Yeah. Janitor 215, Thomas Rue, Joshua Carroll, Eric Chai, Brian Moore, Behind the Duel This Podcast with Ty and Justin, Mike and John, and then we have
Free Tim Bailey's Glazed Smooth Butt, Nah I'd Win, Frozen Go Dojo, B-Dog 23, Phil and Poister, Romeo Snyder of Team Hugh, Tyler Frasher, Daniel Anderson, Deroa, Chicken Toaster Strudel, Jordan Eastman, Robert Light, Kazi95, Clanger, Pavinci, Travis Lurs, Gores on My Lap, HT19, Gregory Calmaring, Limpisky Jigsaw, Mike and John, Frago, Anthony Japov, Michael Zhang, Konjik, Tyler, Neos is my alias, Chris Louie, and Bob Cuddy.
Thank you guys so much for joining. So we just finished the Trishula Cup. There will be another tournament in maybe like 2 months or so with a special rule. We do these throughout the year. We give away money for them and all that good stuff. So I'm not sure what the idea is going to be. If you have a suggestion, just let me know. We have like a fan mail thing where you can text the show. If you look in the description of this video or in the description of this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen, YouTube, wherever, there's like a button that you can click and it'll let you send a text message to us, which will go to like a fan mailbox. So if you want to do that, you can give us suggestions or just send in listener letters. We also have an inbox that we use for listener letters, imnerdpodcast@gmail.com, and we read them out on the show. Every once in a while, we'll like gather a bunch of them and just like read them and talk about them. And those episodes, those listener letters become like hour-long conversations because some of them can get really interesting. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that. And thank you guys so much, Mike and Justin, for coming on. We appreciate you guys again. Subscribe to the Edison Club. Listen to their podcast.
Yes.
I'm going to listen to the one with MBT tomorrow while I work. It's going to be a busy week for me because Monster Hunter comes out this week and I have a lot to do for work and I have to release content. So much fucking work has to get done. I need the podcast to get through it.
If you like Edison format, and you like the IMNerd podcast, and you're not also subscribed to Edison Club, I think you're fucking up.
Yeah.
Just my opinion.
Flat out.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we really appreciate you guys.
And if you guys want to do any shout outs, here's the floor to do that.
So shout outs obviously to the Edison Club, all the team members on there that have gotten us to where we are today. I'd like to give a quick shout out to my wife for supporting me and being okay with me going off to these weekend ventures out of state. So shout outs to her. And yeah, shout out to the IMNerd podcast for having us on here. Justin, you have anything you want to say?
Yeah. Shout out to my wife for letting me cook dinner an hour late tonight so I can do this.
Teach me how to cook
right now. No, she's super supportive of my addiction. So, and shout out to my kids, and shout out to you guys, and shout out to all the fans of the Edison Club, just Edison in general, Yu-Gi-Oh in general. So, thanks for tuning in.
Thank
Hell
you.
yeah.
All right.
Listen, I want to shout those wives out again because back in the day, the wives would be like, "What do you mean you're going every weekend? Like, is there a girl involved? What the hell is going on here?"
Do not take that for granted that you guys have wives that support.
Shout out to them.
Yeah, don't take it for granted. You guys have wives that support you. I remember when the podcast, this episode first started, and Justin mentioned that, and I was blown away. Like, damn, how lucky! And then you have the same exact situation, Mike. So fucking kudos to y'all and your wives. Y'all picked winners for sure, like for sure. But as I always say, guys, do the things that make you happy, including enjoying a collaboration podcast with fellow Edison lovers. And with that, we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
Peace.